All right. What's good, good people? We are back for another open court discussion in the Counselor's Corner. I am your host, David Lorenzo Glover, aka the Controversial Counselor. Joining me is my co host, the Big Bad Wolf, Herb Lewis.
Oh.
I don't know what y'all think, people. That seem like a little melancholy. Last week it was something different. As far as the panel, we will just have to wait and see who is willing to step out the box and join us. Recap from this past Monday's show is Granny's way always the right way. If you miss if you missed this broadcast, check out the replay on the YouTube channel The Controversial Counselor, or look out for the short clips on YouTube, IG, TikTok, and Facebook. Okay, now it's time to transition into tonight's show. October 23rd, topic: the impact of the rites of passage on your life. Let's look at some essential questions. But before we do that, what's the rites of passage consist of? And typically, it would be like a birth, transitioning into adulthood, marriage, death, like eldership, ancestry. So it's a ceremony or event celebrating an important stage in someone's life. Okay, back to the essential questions. What are some milestones on your path to growing up? What events changed your understanding of yourself, and what rites of passage have had the most significance for you? And finally, okay, so you get where we're going with the subject matter. No research needed. It's all about you. Who knows you better than you? Okay, gang, please like and share our video, and don't forget to subscribe to the YouTube channel, The Controversial Counselor. Pushing toward 800. We're sitting at 753. Let's go. Time is not forever. So, all right, here we go. Another Monday night. What's going on, Herb? Big Bad Wolf.
Man, steady keeping up with the weight loss. I'm down about what last night was like 274, so down about 15 pounds. That march steady continues. Gathering some more information in the book, coming up with a couple other concepts. I'm looking at doing a glass chess set. I just came up with this, and it's gonna be using old liquor bottles, and I'm gonna make it a community chess thing. And the ideal, and I actually came about with this particular topic. Um, it's gonna be teams of at least four opposing sides. Everybody's gonna have a move, and the object is to see if you teach people how to play chess, beat another group of people. And what it symbolizes is, you know, have we taught and are we capable of teaching each other, you know, some complex things in order to do good as a people? Because let's face it, Black America, we're struggling on all on all fronts, financial, educational, academic, you name it, we're struggling. So it's a way for me to try and bridge the gap between generations to see if we can't do better. This is just something I came up with. I'll give it a whirl and see if it works. But other than that, man, I got nothing else to say other than Mother Nature is out of her goddamn mind because it's colder than hell than normally for October. So I got no complaints though, man. I'm doing all right. I can't complain. I really can't.
All right, that's good. That's good. Me, same old, same old. At the schoolhouse, kids, some behaving, some not. They still continue to try to take over my office. Now it got to the point I walk in on a Monday morning, they already set up shop. Uh, and I'm like, what the hell? Who said I want to look at y'all first thing when I walk in? So, I mean, they really, I'm not going to even say they take advantage because I allow it. I respect them to get, do their hair. And even though I still think they could do it before that, but whatever the circumstances is, I kind of let them go. And then what was crazy was the other day, Um, the one girl went in there to do her hair, and I was out in the hallway, and the principal had came in there to talk to this other kid. So I'm like, oh shit, she go see these curling irons all plugged up, and but
Oh,
she didn't. She didn't say nothing. And I don't know. I guess maybe she said that's a battle. She ain't. I mean, she could have said you need to go to class. This ain't the place. But maybe she said this ain't no battle I'm about to have right now. So I'm gonna move on to the next thing. I know the importance of them having their hair done or whatever the case is. So, but I don't know. It's just interesting. I still been pondering if that's not my group. I have the sixth graders, but I'm like, man, it would be so nice to have a group with those girls, a counseling group. And I still may try to pull it off, but in the group they'll be able to come in and do their hair each each week, and we'll just sit there and talk like barbershop conversation. But it'd be like at the beauty shop with them throwing out topics, and I'm just kind of facilitating it.
and see, that's not a bad thing, and it reminds me of when I used to do volunteer mentoring at the local preparatory school here. That's to me, and this follows the topic. To me, it seems like the perfect time for, and it doesn't even have to be a parent. It can be somebody in their late 20s, early 30s, to come in and sit with them girls and actually talk to them about a few things, regarding life. Because I mean, we don't think about it as adults, but they're at a crossroads right now. Some of these girls run off, get pregnant, or whatever the case is, and that's a road that we don't want to see them go down. But it's very likely that one, two, I don't know what the percentages are in Baltimore County, but it's very possible. So just imagine having that influence in there, having somebody in their ear, whether they want to listen to it or not. Just say, hey, look, we understand what you're going through. These are the pitfalls you might come up against. This is how you might want to handle it. You can handle it this way. You can handle it that way. It reminds me, when our sisters were young, getting their hair done on Sundays or whatever the case was with the hot comb and the hair grease. Conversations took place then. Why not replicate that?
It's something and it's crazy because in all my years I never had anything like happen like this besides these last 2 years with these same group of girls uh, that come in. So it just lets you know how things have changed and how things, I don't even want to say evolved, but how it's different in schools where that never was an issue, but now this group of girls is it's important for them to come in and make sure they get their hair done. And one of the things which kind of probably makes sense that the one girl would say, well, my mother doesn't know how to do hair like that, because they haven't been doing it. And and like I said on here the last few weeks, I always joke around with them and say, it's time for y'all to just go ahead and grab some wigs. But they don't be, they're like, nah, they not checking for that. But if their mother doesn't do hair and they're used to just doing weave, or they got an older sister that does it but she's in college or whatever the case is, and they don't connect with their friends over the weekend, then some of them, they'll wait till they get to school and they'll sneak into my office, or because typically it's not locked, but the other counselors will be there and I'm on my duty. Then when I come up, like a lot of times I walk. Well, today I walk into them being in my office, but it's just, and we do have some good conversations during that time. Even though half of the time I'm like, listen, I got like 5 minutes, but that is a part of the female rites of passage, with self care, the beauty, and this is the things that they're emphasizing when they're doing it, putting it out there that hey man, nobody trying to go out here looking like a
That's
mess,
good.
and they would be considered probably the little the diva like group that I knew from the sixth grade. I was like, yeah, these girls they're gonna be something, and but they just flocked to my office. So it's and again, I think last week I said they was that last Monday or one of those days. Oh no, actually it was I think Thursday or something that they were doing eyelashes. I'm like, oh, now it's an upgrade up in here. They doing eyelashes up in here. Yeah, so
And
it's
the thing
funny.
about it is this: um, we never know how that turns out. One of them actually go into business and open up a business doing that type of stuff. I don't know if they have cosmetology courses down there
Oh,
at the
they do.
local high school like they did here years ago. But the beauty industry, if you will, it is a multi $100 million business. There are women that I know who are making a damn good living doing that. Never know one of them going to Hollywood doing makeup for movies, TV shows. I mean, to me, that type of stuff needs to be cultivated. But they have to have a place to do it.
Yeah, but um, and that tied that segue into mainly what this subject is about, the rites of passage, and even when we think about births and stuff, and now in this day and age, it's such a big thing to do with the reveal parties and the different things that people um, are having, and I remember we had a show. No, it was probably about I don't know, a year or so ago, and we talked about um, the celebration of birth, but should people really be celebrating when they're pretty much a single mom? Like it seemed like they were saying like it's glorified and kind of not looking at the bigger picture down the road. Uh, you look at the reveal parties, the baby showers, and all that. But then after that moment is gone, who's going to be around to help? And even with the notion of the godparents and all of that stuff, I mean, I just think it's a different time now. But I think with some of that is social media heighten it up with, like I said, the reveal parties and the showers and all that stuff. Before it used to be just a little, an event. Family, friends came, you know, the mother got gifts and all that stuff, and they kind of went about their business. Many guys didn't. That wasn't their thing. They may come pick you up, and load up the vehicle, but they wasn't around. But now it's unisex showers and all that. I have no desire to sit around no event like that for that long period of time. But to each his own. We're in a different time, and hey, that's just no. That wasn't me.
You mentioned it all this stuff, and I'm just like, they do all this stuff. Who does? And I'm just like, man, I don't hear about it. I don't know if that's a good thing. I don't know if that's a bad thing. Just means I'm out the loop. And you know what? I'll be happy to stay out of that loop because it just sounds backwards, man. It really does. And I'm not knocking people who do those things. Like David just said, to each his own. But there's just some things that I really don't want to be a party to, man. People living backwards, at least in my opinion, because I've always said, and I know how I was living my life when I was in my 20s. I've always said that if I happen to produce a child out of wedlock, that I was going to stop dating until that child became of age, at least functional to go out and do on their own. time never came. But people all know I've told the stories of, you know, how when I got to be 29, I hit a roadblock, man, and I had to readjust how I was living life. So, you know, those aha moments come. It's just a matter of, you know, is the individual who encounters that moment smart enough and intelligent enough to say, okay, you know what, I have to sit back and reassess what it is that I'm doing because it's not helping me get to where I want to be. And I think that's a larger problem is a lot of people don't sit down and they don't start to chart things. They don't start to plan. They just out here doing a YOLO. You only live once and they don't care and they just living by the seat of their pants. And next thing you know, they're in their mid 40s. They don't own anything. They're not going anywhere. And they're still stuck in a spin cycle. You see them at the class reunion and you're saying, damn, man, you look like hell. I said, man, things have been tough. Well, things only been tough because you made them tough. You ain't
Do
planning
you
to do nothing.
do you really say that to somebody?
No.
Like,
I've
damn.
but I've often said, and I'm going to repeat, I'm a judgmental bastard. I have a lot of thoughts going through my head, but I don't verbalize them. So, because you'll see some people, and it's just like, no, dude, you supposed to be here, or because I mean, to an extent, I think most people do it. If you go, let's take your 10-year high school class reunion and put that aside, because at that junction, nobody's really expecting anybody to have excelled unless you're really, really fortunate. But you start to get to your 20, 25, and 30, you expect people to hit certain benchmarks. So whether it's have a kid, get married, buy a house, or whatever the case is, because I'm 51. I was the second oldest in my class. I'll be 52 in a couple months. So most of the people that I graduated with, they have kids. So I'm looking at their Facebook profiles and I'm just like, wait a minute. You have a kid that's 20. And I'm doing the math and I'm just like, yo, that's insane. Because I look at the situation as like they're in that realm, because I won't date anybody younger than 25. And I'm just like, I've been out of high school 32, 33 years. I'm like, conceivably, their daughters are old enough for me to potentially date. And it makes me cringe. I'm just like, I don't want to date anybody that is a offspring of somebody I
So
graduated
hold
high
up.
school with.
Hold
I'm
up.
just like, that shit is crazy.
You said you would date anybody that's younger than 25. So you'll date somebody
No, 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 no.
26 or
No, no,
27.
no. Yeah, that's my cutoff for anybody that I
Okay.
would potentially deal with.
Mm. Ladies, where y'all at? Because y'all always got something to say in the counselor's corner. Like, why would a 52-year-old man talk to a 27-year-old? Um, that's that's sick. And um, so where y'all at with that? I do want to read Greg question. He said, do you recommend to younger people that they not repeat the mistakes that you made when you were at their age? That's always the goal, to kind of let people, younger people, know I did this. I wish I could do it differently. You have the opportunity. You got more resources now to be better, but you got to want to do it. And I think that may be the bigger issue with the entitlement of these kids, because they didn't have to, lot many of them, they didn't have to work hard for the things that they have, compared to us growing up, where it was struggles. It was a lot of struggles, but thank God that even for me, for my family, that we had tremendous family support right next door to us with my grandmother and my aunts and stuff. But it was tough. I mean, we pulled it off. A lot of people we were growing up with thought like, oh, y'all got it going on. Y'all got such and such. But we knew that the nucleus of our family chipped in and helped each other out. And that's how we survived. Not everybody else can depend on that, or that may not be the case. So, and it kind of takes me back to even when you think about the rites of passage, even in your childhood. So, like I said, a lot of this will be personal. And for me, thinking about rites of passage as a child, first thing I always think about is school experience. I didn't like. I was quiet. I was well, extra quiet, super quiet, and I didn't care for school like the first couple years. And I remember always I would get sick like in first grade, like when it was time to do math. And I would go to the nurse, and I remember they used to have some woman that would. Now they would never have that shit in this day and time, but some old lady used to drive you home if you were sick.
Oh, oh, damn.
Yeah, and yeah, it was some lady. I don't know what her position was, but if you got sick, and it seemed like she had a yellow car or something, and she would drive you home and drop you off. And I don't know, maybe it wasn't diagnosed in, but maybe it was anxiety or something about math, or maybe it was also, I think the teacher could have been kind of intimidating then. And I would always, when it was time for math, I would be like, shit, I'm about to find a way to get up out of here. And I would, I would leave. And then in the second grade, and I remember, I mentioned this before that they told my mother they wanted to test me to be in special education because I never talked. So they didn't know how much I knew. And my mother's like, oh, he knows a lot. He's smart. He just don't say nothing. You got to find a way. You got to pull it out of him. You got to ask him questions. He's not going to volunteer or whatever the
Yeah.
case is. And even kind of to this day, I may not volunteer information unless I'm on one that day. I said I'm about to shake shit up in here and throw some out there because they gonna say, damn, he normally quiet, but all of a sudden now he didn't threw a dart at us and we don't know how to respond. And so I was quiet, and when my mother came home and told me that during parent teacher conference, she said pretty much like, hey, you don't start talking, you're gonna be in those little small classrooms, and you might have to ride that little, the little bus. Y'all and people our age know what that meant when you were on that little bus, the little cheese, that something was kind of wrong. They did away with that because it singled out people and you kind of knew, like, yo, why you on that little ass bus? It, and I was like, even in the second grade, I'm like, little bus, small classrooms. Oh, hell no. So I went back to class the next day, and I remember the teacher's like, "Good morning, everybody," and I said, "Good morning, Miss Crabapple." That wasn't her name. Her name was Miss Menard. But I was thinking to myself as a 7-year-old, "Oh, you was trying to snake me. Oh, you was trying to set me up." And she was so happy that I said something that she called my mother and was like, "Yo, he actually talked. He started talking." And from that point on, I would make it my business to kind of participate.
I'm sorry.
That's all good. You know how we laugh on here. Eh, But that was that. Then the third grade, I flourished because the teacher had a competition system that we got a prize at the end of the week, and she would keep points and all that stuff. So for me, I was always in growing up was into sports and watch sports. So that's when it took off. And then after that, I loved education. From that point forward, always tried to be the best that I could be, but it took that different rites of passage for someone to say, try to put me in an uncomfortable situation. I said, oh hell no.
Was it Miss Crabapple the name of the teachers from what was the Little Rascals?
Yeah. Yeah, that's where I got it from.
Oh, that's crazy. And see, this is and this is something that I wrote down, as in a part that I'll get to later. I spent a lot, especially in my pre-high school years. You know, actually, I'll go back to before high school. pre junior high, I spent a lot of time in different schools because I was in foster care often. So, um, for me, I cannot recommend a whole lot to these kids because I didn't have an opportunity to really get in trouble. I was here, I was there. The worst thing I ever did was steal from a store. Matter of fact, let me tell you a story about that.
I got a story about that too, but I'll let you go
Wilson
first.
Farms, Wilson Farms, located for those of you who are from Niagara Falls. Wilson Farms no longer exists in Niagara Falls anymore, unfortunately. Used to be a staple in the city. Um, it's a little store, just up the street from Harriet Fabric on the corner of Lockport and Maine. Now I used to go hit this store every day before school. You just come out with about $2 or $3 worth of stuff. Doesn't seem like a lot now, but back then it was a nice little haul. And they finally caught my ass. Now keep in mind, I'm in foster care. They call the police. They take me home in the back of a police car. I'm paranoid as hell. I don't know what's gonna happen. I don't know how it's gonna be treated, and I'm paranoid. But needless to say, I never stole again. I never stole again. But a lot of things, they're culturally based. We tend to think of rites of passage from our perspective, which is black male, but we all, even as black males, don't all share the same thing. For some of us, a rite of passage is sex, even at that young of an age. Your first fight, first crush. Uh, for some, as early as 18, 19, a rite of passage, believe it or not, and as crazy as it sounds, was going to jail. And I know how that sounds, but that's where that street kid cred culture comes out of. People say, "Oh, you ain't hard, you ain't never been to jail, you ain't this, you ain't that," and that was something that, for people that were on the straight and narrow, how do you combat that? How do you say, I'm tough, I can fight, I can hold my own, when we should be teaching people the opposite. You don't need to fight to prove you tough. Hell, living a righteous life is tough enough. Going to work 9 to 5, having to deal with your boss and coworkers, that's tough enough. Hell, sometimes you might be better off going to jail. You ain't got to worry about paying no bills, no food. Everything is taken care of for you. So, yeah, but that's my experience with that regard. So, it would be difficult for me to really relate a whole lot to these kids. But what I can tell them is this: go to school, do well. Don't be a dropout, because that's a tougher way to go. That much I can definitely iterate to them, is that's not a road that you want to take. I did, but I was fortunate enough to have the intelligence and the wherewithal to get myself through. But I don't think kids nowadays, they will survive, because nowadays the GED is done. You can't go to school and drop out and get a GED. Nowadays, if you drop out of high school, the test to prove that you're competent is harder than going to high school. You might as well finish high school.
All right. So, race, let me read a couple comments. Race said, rites of passage are important to help boys develop from boyhood to manhood, but can non family based rites of passage have a significant impact when the father is absent from the home? Absolutely. It can, depending on your environment or where you at that different time. If other cultures are doing this or doing that, and because their father is is around and you don't have that opportunity, you probably always gonna feel like damn, like I'll never get to that level or whatever the case is, and I could speak to that even in regards to sports. Then I'll come back to Greg's comment. Growing up playing sports, if and this is a cataract football league, if your father was out there and he was active, those guys kind of got favoritism on like the key positions, like quarterback, running back, wide receiver, and even on defense, being a cornerback or something, somewhere that you can possibly touch the ball or make a difference. Well, all roles play a difference, but it was certain positions that you wanted to play. And I knew I grew up playing with older kids, and from that I was pretty. I was good. I was pretty good. I was good in football. But because my father wasn't a part of it, I had nobody to advocate for me.
Mm-hmm.
And that used to be the frustrating thing. I mean, my grandfather would come to games, but he wouldn't be there because the guys that fathers that was out there, they usually were there at practice Monday through Friday, sitting there watching, and then would come up to the coaches and say something or whatever the case is. And my aunt is one of the ones who signed me up for football, but she didn't know what was going on. Her thing was, okay, I'll drop you off. If you need a ride, I'll pick you back up from practice, buy me all the essentials for football. But I never had that voice or just someone to say, after the game, good game. Let's go to the concession stand, get you some hot chocolate, some chips, or whatever the case is. So that was important. And then besides that, I remember when I first started playing, they put me on the wrong team. They put me on the older team.
Oh, damn.
Yeah, I was supposed to be on the All Stars. They put me on the Steelers, and I was 9, and those guys were 11 or 12. So the first day of practice, they going through the tires, the drills. Anybody know that 11 or 12-year-old coordination skills is way much advanced than a 9-year-old. So I'm struggling to go through the little tire drill, and they going through it like it's nothing. And then I had to go to day camp at the community center, and boy, did I get ridiculed and bullied and all types of stuff from that, because they were like, "Oh, that's the dude that's on our team. Remember, he was going through the tire." And I'm sitting there like, damn, want to be in tears, but I'm like, I'm not going to let them get the best of me, but they just kept on going in, not realizing that, damn, we're bigger than him. He's small compared. But them idiots, I should expect the hell out of all of them when I see them now, because most of them still around. But it was one guy that stood up for me. I call his name out. He probably not listening, but shout out to Rodney during those times. And he was always like a man child. But he had told them, like, hey, like, damn, don't y'all see he small, little guy? Don't y'all see he's smaller than us? Yeah, like y'all don't get it. Like, leave the man alone. Cut him some slack. And they pretty much stopped after that, because I don't think he was their age, but he was always built like was a big kid for his age, and he pretty much shut it down. But then I think the next day I went to practice. They put me on the right team. So then I was with people at my age level. But those first couple of days on that 11 to 12-year-old team, and I was on the 9-year-old team, that was like, man, enough to make me don't want to go to practice. I love football and don't want to go to this damn day camp no more. Just let it all go. But those are things that you had to go through. That's why sometimes it's important to you have someone that will stand up for you and say, you know what, no matter what, shit, me and him gonna go out blazing because I'm doing the right thing. And that probably could speak to the household or the way people were brought up, that they're willing to jump on the side of whenever the popular thing is, okay, look, we gonna talk shit to this guy. We gonna all the other guys, but then there's one person saying, "Hey, man, leave him alone, man. Let it be whatever. Like he's smaller than us." And then I think he asked, like, "How old are you?" I was like 9, and he was like, "Yo, y'all like 11 and 12, whatever, and y'all messing with him." And which it didn't make sense, but I'll carry on throughout this. Keep the story going. I told you it's gonna be some storytelling.
But you know what the beautiful thing about that is it's like like they was said in the song. Um, what's that diversity? Athletics builds a what the hell? Um, what the how does it go? I can't even remember. Anyway, it was a Tribe Called Quest song. The thing I don't have a story quite like that. I know living in Griffin Manor, especially in courts 11 and 12, we had a field out there. It was about 50 yards long, about maybe about 25 yards wide, suited for football. And they would get out there, and my older brothers would say, "Look, you too young to play. These kids are big, and they gonna hit." And I would be chomping at the bit. I want to get out there. I want to play. I want to play. I want to play. And my older brother, bless his soul, he said, "All right, look, get out there. When they hit your ass, and they gonna hit you, you better not well up. You better not cry. All right, pop.
Plead your clock.
You better not. You better not. We told you. Got you. Got out there. I was like, all right. But you learn. You know, it built some character. It built some toughness, and eventually, you know, you get a little older, you get a little stronger, you get a little bigger, and you say, okay, you know what? I can take a hit. It might hurt a little bit, but it's not gonna kill me. And you know, some the like the adage, what don't kill you makes you stronger. And I followed that, you know, into playing high school football. When I played high school football, I was thin. I was 145 pounds, the same height that I am now. So, you know, and people, and I don't know if it was a combination of me having the name Herbert. It's an uncommon name in Black America, and people would always challenge me. They would always question whether I was capable of doing this. I was capable of doing that. And I remember going to Buff State and running track, and I was still dealing with the same nonsense. And it's like, yo, he gonna bust his ass. He can't run. I'm just like, yo, y'all don't really understand that I'm built for this. So I remember, I can't remember who we ran against this particular meet at state, and I took my warm up pass. I remember some cats. These were upperclassmen too. They were sitting in the stands. I said, "Oh, by the time we get to the second or third hurdle, he gonna bust his ass." So I took my warm up, ran through. There's like, okay, wait a minute. Let us move back to the fifth or sixth. It's like I'm not gonna hit no hurdles. So I'm not gonna fall down. I'm gonna clean the seat, and I did. They was like, okay, all right, all right. You legit? I said, I told y'all. I said, I don't know why y'all questioning me, because back then, 90s, the name Herb was somebody who was the term. Let me not say the name per se. When you herb somebody, you made fun of them. You were you know, because I remember bless this dude, so Spanish cat from the I think he was from the Bronx named Joe That. And I came through one day, we were in Newman Hall. I kid you not. He didn't know my name was Herbert. So people was like, yo, Herb, let me come here for a minute. Let me ask you a question. Because I had been on campus before, so I knew where I was going and things of that nature. And I've told that story before. And he's like, yo, man, why y'all disrespecting a dude like that? And Joe That was huge. Joe That was about 6'2, 6'3, about 220. Big cat. And I was like, yo, man, I said, it's okay. He said, no, it isn't. I said, no. I said, that's my name. And he looked quizzically at me and said, what? I said, my name is Herbert. He said, what? I said, yes. He said, you understand what that means? I said, yes. I said, but it's cool though, man. I said, they're not trying to clown me. So I mean, there's I mean, you know, this has so many avenues. It has so many threads that we can pull from it. This is just me and Dave. I'm sure there's people who will listen to this and say, I got something similar. I went through this. It's endless. And we're just talking about male's perspective. We haven't even touched the female perspective yet, and we will.
Let me, far as Greg's comment, says so many of the things you list as rites of passage are dangerous, possibly
Mhm.
destroying lives, and so it seems like there would be a huge encouragement to avoid many of those rites.
Believe it or not, you are absolutely correct. This is why we advocate so strenuously for young black men, especially those who grew up in impoverished communities and single parent homes, because a lot of the things that they will get involved in can be dangerous, unbeknown to them because they don't have the life experiences. So when there's no one around to say, hey, look, you want to stay away from that because this can be the outcome. And the prison to pipeline, that's real. I don't care who says what. These young black males, they're being set up for failure because they're being poorly educated. They're not given the opportunities like their female counterparts. And for a lot of them, like David said earlier about having somebody advocate for you, they don't have anybody to advocate for them. So when you're already born with two strikes against you because you're male and you're black, you got to fight like a salmon swimming upstream just to get on. We're not talking about, you know, to make something of yourself. We're talking about the ability to have the chance to live a normal life. To be able to go out and get a job, not to be looked at strange, even though you might speak differently because you speak with a slang. You have to fight that. You also have to fight the notion that you can't compete in corporate America. You have to fight the notion that just because you came from a single parent home, that you ghetto. All of those things play into that. So that's an excellent. It's an excellent thing, Greg. But it is real here for a lot of young black males, and this is why we talk about these rights, because some of these rights, once you get through them, you look around, you say, "Hey, look, I don't want to go through that. I'm going to make sure that my potential or future kids don't go through that." So that's the silver lining in this, is that you can say, "Hey, look." You go to some kids, you see them, you say, "Hey, look, you don't want to do that." Well, what you know? You this, you this, you this. They only see what you are now. They don't have a clue of what you went through then. Matter of fact, let me tell you another story. Last night I went to Tops to pick up some couple things. And Tops is a grocery store, and a chain grocery store in Western New York. A couple young brothers, had to be 10, 11, asked me for $1. I said, "What are you looking to buy?" He said, "Oh, this, and this." I said, "I tell you what, I don't have $1, but as opposed to buying something, why don't you take that $1 and try and make it two?" He looked at me and said, "How?" I said, "Buy something for $1 and sell it for two. And then you keep doing that, and then you have some money, and next thing you know, you can be able to buy anything you want." Those are the rites of passages that a lot of black men are never even told about. They don't get to experience because they're too busy just trying to live day to day. So it's tough. It really is. It's not easy. It's not easy, and it's not fair, despite what people might think.
Well, Herb been kind of all over the place with his rites of passage and all that stuff. So I'm still, I'm still trying to navigate through the early years of was going on and, and coming up with things that meant something to me and that were powerful. So remember, I was that quiet kid. So they decided, okay, he's not special ed. Uh, and I think we talked about this before, Herb, but you said you had to go. Or it might have been for different reasons. But they recommended me to go to this damn camp. Because I think you went, and Carlos went, and I don't know why he went, because he damn sure wasn't quiet. Was it a camp like, was that camp like in Lockport or somewhere?
Yeah, but
It
this
was
is a
some,
summer camp though.
yeah, but
This is just a summer camp.
they recommended me to go because I was quiet and like to get out and do something different and meet different people and to be away from my norm. So I had to go to this camp. Boy, was I pissed. And so I remember this bus picked us up from City Hall. So I'm getting on the bus, and it was my, and at that time my father was still in our life. It was my father, my mother, and I'm looking at them like in my head, like, why the fuck am I going on this damn bus going to some camp? And so I had to go to this camp, and I remember my father saying to this one guy, shout out to my man Tino Valentino. He said, Tino, make sure you take care of little David. And Tino said, I got you. And anybody from Niagara Falls know Tino. Tino, always cool dude. You know, out would be out in the streets, whatever, but was always advanced, more advanced. And he was a few years older than me. And I know Herb, he's went off camera, but I know he knows Tino very well because he hung out with his brother. Yeah.
Yeah.
So he told Tino to look out for me. So we get on the bus. Shit, within the bus pulling off, Tino was like, yeah, last year I went to this camp. It was all types of bears and wolves and shit. And then I'm sitting there shaking like, bears and wolves? Like, and I'm like, where the fuck am I going? Then he said, but this year I came prepared and pulled out this big ass switchblade. So now I'm really freaking losing it. Like how do I jump off this bus and get out of here? So, needless to say, we go there. I'm calling every day to my mother because we was allowed to have a phone call. Could you come get me? Nah, you only got 5, 6 more days. I think it might have been for a week long. I think it was a week. And I would call every freaking day and would still get the same answer. You only got 3 days left. But the one thing Tino did do that he told my father he would do, he looked out for me. Every time he seen me, he said, you good? You good, little man? Mind you, he might have been 3, 4 years older than me. So if I was like 8, 9, he was probably like 13 or something. And I was like, yeah, I'm good. He's like, all right, man, let me know. Because he was on a whole different level when he was up there because he had been the year before. This dude was pulling females and had different females liking him. And so he went back for a whole different reasons. And it was funny that when we got older, I saw him at this party and I brought that up to him. And he said, man, I was always wondering when I used to see you, did you ever remember that? I said, dude, I don't forget shit. He was like, man, and I said, thank you, man. Thank you for looking out, man. That time, he was like, oh, no problem, man. I had you. And I was like, yeah, you did. Because just for him saying, you all right. But people don't even understand that those words to people, you good? You need something? Go a long way and kind of could build you up and build up your sense of security that somebody is there to bat for you. So, needless to say, Tino always, he checked on me and I was good. Then when my Mother and father fine because we caught the bus there, but they came. I guess people could have caught the bus back, but they came and got me. Boy, I was so rebellious. And back then we had afros. I ain't pick my hair. I ain't do shit. My shit was just matted down. I just didn't care. I was ready. I thought I was hurting somebody like by not doing anything. So by the time they came and got me, mama was like, "You look a mess. Like you ain't pick your hair." Nope. Why you ain't pick your hair? You should have came and got me. Yeah, they never came and got me, but that I always remember that experience. That was one of the rites of passage that lets you know, like, sometimes you have somebody older and they say, hey, to a younger soldier, uh, look out for my son. And they actually come through and do it and pull through. That meant the world to me during that time.
Greg, this is an excellent comment. It's going to segue into something that I have to read, and I'll read this for everybody. One of the things that had bothered me is listening to young black moms on the counselor's corner almost a year ago state that they would not tell their daughters not to get pregnant because they had to make their own decisions. I would think that single moms would do anything not to have their daughters suffer through the same thing. Now, I took this from Star Farm Sobers, and I like to call her Supernova because she be posting some shit that just blow things apart. And I'm sure some people be reading her posts and they just be like, this can't be true. But I'm gonna read what she posted. I always tell young ladies, your beauty is your currency. If you have a beautiful daughter, coach her well. All of you don't have attractive daughters, so this may not apply to you. I'm talking about those types who stand out in the crowd. If your daughter is unattractive, make sure she gets the best education. Set her up to make as much money as possible. She may not have any choice. I'm segueing into something else. This is what Kevin Samuels used to try and tell women, but they were combative and they didn't understand why he would say some of the things. Back to her statement. You know if your daughter looks like Yoda. Make sure she is smart. Make sure the pretty ones are equally smart, but coach them slightly differently. Her experiences will be significantly different than the others. Significantly different. I never experienced the ugly experience, but I witnessed men treat uglies differently, which means they have to be prepared for independence until they find a man who can appreciate her intellect over her physical appearance. Those pretty ones, though, she can catch an athlete or a businessman if you coach them right. She doesn't have to use her masculine energy in corporate America. She can rest in her soft feminine state and stay pretty in the face. But many of you older women project your fears on the younger women. You never had a man of substance and you preach that Mary J. Blige bullshit. Did I? You should preach that rhetoric to your linebacker looking in the face daughters. The pretty ones actually have a chance. Oh, I know I sound mean. I knew a lady who sent her daughter to Stanford to specifically catch an athlete. She coached her daughters on how to court him. He had a bright future, was from a great family. Her daughter successfully got him smitten. I can go on and on with different examples, but you get the idea. For those of you who don't know, Stanford is considered the Ivy League of the West. To get into Stanford, you have to be smart. Stanford is not for dummies, and it's a private institution. And I can't remember what their endowment was. I was looking it up online. And just to let you know, an athlete that has went to Stanford, Russell Wilson, and we all know about Russell Wilson and who he is and all this other stuff. But the one of the things she said, you know, with regards to appearances, is the girls that look like Yoda, and I know that's harsh, but it speaks to what men look for in women. A lot of women set their daughters up for failure because they ingrain in them that only God can judge me. Women, say this, and I know how this is going to come across from me because I'm a man. So what the hell do I know? Women need to be realistic about their daughter's attractiveness and look at them through the eyes of a potential mate. If, and I know how women are, if she stresses, I'm sorry, if she chooses to take that route, meaning she's looking to be married or have kids or any of those things. So it's for young women. You know, they have their own rites of passages. You know, first menstrual cycle, first bra, all of that stuff comes into play. And I'm sure that some women, some young girls get teased about developing later, whatever the case is, however they go through their physical development. And at least, or you hope, or the hope is that at least they have somebody that can go back, they can go back home to and speak to about these things. It reminds me of an episode of the Cosby Show where Rudy was stuffing a bra, and Claire said, "Hey, you gonna get what you get when you get it." Some young boys don't have that. Some young girls don't have that. So, you know, in the absence of that, they struggle. They really do, and they may not, you know, they may come through and survive, but we don't know what damage has been done until that damage manifests itself in their adult years. So, you know, just be mindful of that. You know, we never discount what women have to go through. We may not talk about it, but we don't discount it. We know that they have their struggles just like us. So, just in case anybody thinking we know, we might come across as I'm sorry, the term eludes me, as misandrous. We're not. We're just pro men.
And one of the things is to piggyback on that. It's the nonsense that you see on social media and people, acting like they're cheerleading for these people that may not look pleasant. And I know they say the beauty is in the beholder's eye, the eye of the beholder. Sometimes that may be in most beholders, like that person may not be uh, that attractive or whatever the case is, but it's the lies, the falsehood, and all that stuff on that social media brings. And I think I had it was something. I put up a old clip, and it might have been like 2020, and I said, "Not every baby is freaking cute. Not every baby is cute. Not every kid is cute. But yeah, I love putting them out there. Love putting them out there." For whatever reason, because y'all know that most people will say, "Oh, look at them. They so cute. He's so handsome. She's so beautiful." But meanwhile, you're having side conversations. That said, "Girl, I just said that to be saying that to see who else was go bit or whatever, or that she too through, or all these type of comments." Me, I ain't about to say none of that. I'll just go keep strolling through or whatever the case is, whatever. If I don't feel it, I ain't gonna say nothing. But it's too many lies and falsehoods being told. And even when they get to adults, certain things just don't look right.
Mm-hmm.
And a true friend gonna tell you. A true mate gonna tell you when you don't look right. Like, where the fuck you going with that on? Maybe you should have matched this up with that. If somebody lets you go out and you looking crazy, it's probably because, but women, they'll come up with because us guys, I know my crew, we're shit. We on clown central
Yeah.
all day long. So, but women, they'll never admit it, but they always want to outshine each other. So they'll let you come out. Not all. There's some real that'll tell you, girl, we nah, you joking, right? And they'll make you change up your outfit or whatever. But some of them just let you go on out. You looking like a damn fool because they're in competition. But again, we also hear women say they don't dress for men; they dress for themselves.
Yeah.
Yeah, which is odd to me because if I'm getting dressed and I'm looking nice, and if I'm out there trying to catch, I want to look good for women or smell good or whatever the case is. So I'm just not never bought into that. I'm dressing for myself. If you're dressing for yourself, stay your ass in the house there and just keep changing outfits and then having a dress up day, whatever. Because obviously you want somebody to look at you or notice you. So yeah, come on here if y'all listening to debunk that theory because we've been talking that been going on. Oh, I don't dress for me. I dress for myself. Yeah, okay. Yeah, okay. So, and to go back on that also, and me trust and believe, and I don't even know the kid name, but I was going through, we have our assessments and our surveys for kids on what they need. And one girl, I don't know her name. I don't think she might have put her middle name, but I got to find out who it is. And she said she was having a hard time fitting in school. And then the comment she made, she's like, because I'm ugly. That just broke my heart. That broke my heart. And I'm gonna say I need to find her. I need to find out who this is, and I need to build her up and get her on track. Cause I already know how this can play out. As an 11-year old, if she's feeling that way, and
Yeah.
how people, boys, will take advantage of that, and even how girls will take advantage of that down the road, especially if her family got a little something, and you, and then all of a sudden you want to pretend like you want to be cool with them to hang out, to try to reap the benefits and all that. I gotta find her. That's that's probably my number one goal to find out who is this young lady. She didn't put her last name, didn't put just put a name, and I'm like, okay, is this just her middle name or whatever the case is? But I'm gonna find her, and we gonna work on that. And you gonna be all right by the end of your sixth grade year and to grow and to propel because I don't like stuff like that. That just yeah, it just broke my heart reading that. Let me see what Roxanne got to say. She said, I grew up in a two-parent household, so for me, a big rites of passage was to have a huge traditional wedding with my dad walking me down the aisle in the black community. Everything we pass down or emphasize isn't tragic.
I agree.
And then Greg said, I walked my daughter down the aisle Saturday. Congratulations to your daughter. Congratulations to you too. So,
Oh, I'm sorry. Go ahead, Dave.
no, I was pretty much.
Okay.
That was just sighing like deep conversations coming out.
We we're trying to cover. We will cover everything. Actually, um, we're not trying to make everything in Black America seem like it's terrible or tragic. We, the first hour we just basically just talking about what David and I had experienced. We hadn't really gotten to the meat and potatoes. So, I mean, there's a lot in Black America that having a rite of passage. It's good. You got graduation from high school, like you mentioned, getting married. There's um some black people with their first car. But we have to be mindful that even though the vast majority of people who might tune into this platform might be Native Black Americans, we have people that are of other cultures who listen to this platform, who tune in while we're doing this live. So we would be neglectful if we didn't talk about everybody. So, you know, you look at some kids graduating college with a degree. That's a rite of passage for some. In the Jewish culture, I believe it's Jewish culture, 13 years have the bar mitzvah. Um, Mormons, they have a rite of passage to where they decide if they want to stay on the path that they're on or they want to venture into the world, as they call it. There's a lot of rites of passages that other cultures have that we don't. Look at the Polynesian culture. They have certain rites of passages. Um, I'm sorry, I misspoke. The Amish culture does that. I said Jews. I'm sorry, the Amish culture. Jews have bar mitzvahs. The Amish have something else. They call it rumspringa, I believe it is. Rumspringa. So there's a lot of differences and rites of passages with different cultures. So I mean, we talk about what we know best, and that's black. But make no mistake, this is why some people are set up to be teased or compared. When we look at America in totality, it's because we do come from different cultures. America is truly a melting pot. So you see this when at least at Lacell when I went to school. Most of the students who drove the school, they were Caucasian. Black kids, what do? We caught the bus. It wasn't economically feasible for our families to buy us a car, let alone insure. Hell, most of us didn't get a driver's license until we were out of high school. Driver's license is a rite of passage. Your first date unchaperoned, a rite of passage. All of these little things, that we don't even think about are rites of passages for a whole lot of people. Think about the first time that you went out with somebody of the opposite gender and it was just you and her or you and him or whatever the case is and nobody else there. It reminds me of the song by um what was her name? I think it was Tiffany. I think we're alone now. There doesn't seem to be anyone around, and I'm not gonna sing because I know y'all don't like my singing.
Well, no. uh,
Yeah, so I mean, there's rites of passages all over the place for everybody, for every, dare I say, every gender, you know, and we don't know who's looking to achieve what. For some, getting to school every day without getting in a fight, that's a rite of passage. For some, you know, getting a meal to eat, that's a rite of passage. Because not everybody's going to bed, not hungry, not having the power turned off. That's a rite of passage. There's so many ways and so many things that a lot of kids are subjected to that the average rank and file person doesn't even consider. New clothes, rite of passage. You going to high school. Are you gonna look the part? Are you gonna have, I don't know what they call it now. We used to call it fresh gear. Um, you know, that's a rite of passage. Brand name shoes, if you couldn't afford them, that's a rite of passage. You got a couple extra dollars in your pocket that you can splurge on something. Maybe you want to buy ice cream at lunch. That's a rite of passage. All of these things, you know, are rites of passages in different cultures and for different people at different times. So it's not easy, and we would be remiss if we didn't point out the difficulties. And this is why these are called rites of passages, because they put you on that track to get to the next step in life. So that's one of the reasons why we highlight the difficulties more so than we do
Well,
the ease.
well, the thing about that is you only can really speak to your
Mhm.
existence. So if people look at, if you're looking for a Disneyland story, then you may not find it in most cases, or if you did, a lot of situations people are lying um, about their situation. So me, I'm trying to chronicle like different things that was a rites of passage for me, and I'm still gonna take it back, even back in the in the dating scene, the scene with the girls. I was a late bloomer. I was quiet, so I didn't have the gifted gab that I got now. But boy, oh boy, I tell you, my boys used to do me some disservice. They used to do me some disservice. If y'all listening, y'all some dirty dogs. Um, like so, if I didn't have a gifted gab, obviously I wasn't gonna be able to pull nobody. Because unless you were driving, again, we talk about driver license. You had your own car, and the way they were supposed to have been set up. That my grandfather always told me, "Man, you get your license, man, I'm gonna get you this car." It, he ended up getting this. Man, that was a pretty car, whatever. This maroon Chrysler New Yorker when New Yorkers first came out. First car seen with digital everything. And he got it, but he was like he wasn't trying to drive it. He don't want all that technology. So but he always was saying that was my car. And that's a funny story too with the rites of passage. So but I didn't get my license at that point, and my grandmother paid for me to go to driving school. So I remember one day going to driving school, and I think the lessons used to be $15. So she would pay, and she kept saying, "I would pay. I'm gonna pay as much as it is, so you can get better, so you could get your license, and we get you a car." And I just be driving, and I don't understand why it was always these old ass people in the car with you. So this lady, she's about 80, and me and her in the Chevette. You have to be our age to know what a Chevette was. So we driving in this Chevette, stop at a corner, and as I'm driving, I see the person on the side, and I'm like, "Oh, I hope we don't have to stop." Oh, I think we stopped at a light, and I was like, "Oh, I hope this light don't stop, so I don't have to pull up right next to this guy." And sure enough, the light stopped. And of course, his ass looked inside the Chevette, seen me with this old lady driving. uh, I'm gonna call him Bowie. He ain't listening to that, but that's my guy, James Moore. James Moore, everybody know Nuki Moore, little brother, baby brother. James looked over and kind of snickered and laughed. So of course, when I after the lessons and I got back, he was like, and I ain't gonna call out my nickname over here and all that, but he was like, "Hey, I seen David drive it in a car with this old white woman. She's about 80 years old. He was getting a driving lesson from this old ass lady." So I'm like, okay, like, and then I went and told my grandmother. We used to call her Babe. I said, "Babe, I don't want to take driving lessons no more. And she's like, how come? I said, because I had to drive with this old lady and they were making fun of me. And she's like, well, who was making fun of you? I was like, James. She was like, well, let me ask you this. Let me ask you this. What was he doing while you was driving? I said, walking.
Walking.
And she said, boy, you just as dumb as I don't know what. If you so you gonna listen to somebody that's walking and you trying to drive so you can get you a car so you don't have to walk. She's like, well, it's up to you. I ain't gonna go back and forth with you, but that's your choice. I told you I would pay for the classes. One of them lessons I learned. I should have just stayed with it and said, the hell you was doing. But I didn't know, and peer influence means a lot, and that's why some of y'all think, oh, I hold a mighty position in the church, my kid, this and that. When they get middle school, their peers mean more than you,
Yes, sir.
more than you. And, they will, and whether they start dating, it's a boy, or you got a son and he's dealing with a girl, they have more influence than all of your religious background, all the money that you have, or whatever the case. It doesn't mean shit at that point. It's kind of thrown out the window, and that one person can pull them in um, many directions, whatever. And I know I was going somewhere with it, but that was just the driving part. But I said my boys did me wrong because they um, some of the girls that they wanted me to get with really wasn't my cup of tea. It wasn't nothing I visualized. But
They wanted you to play wingman.
so I fell into the trap, but I was never content. And actually, I probably was downright nasty to these individuals. I apologize. I'm not gonna call your names out. Uh, but I was like, this ain't it. This ain't what I this ain't where I want to be. This is not what I visualized. And because some of them, the shit they was pulling, I was like, nah, I'm good. I'm good. And but then they wanted they were trying to pull me at that level too. And of course, as a youngster, you don't want to be the one that don't have no experiences with girls. And because you're gonna get ridiculed. And maybe not in all cultures, but I know in our culture that you would get uh they're gonna call you out, and every opportunity they gonna say something, and if you was a virgin, you definitely was gonna hear it, and that was part of that era. So I dealt with it. Uh, Sometimes they'll give me grace, but then it was times that they didn't, and I would feel bad because I got in situations with people and I like knowing damn well I didn't like them like that, and I couldn't even be give my all because that's not what I wanted. But I had to try to be with them. I had to try to prove my sort of like a false bravado that I was with the program, that I was all about this and that, and it was things ain't I didn't have a great dating experience at those young ages, the ages 15, 16, 17, and all of that stuff, and probably shouldn't have been worried about that shit anyway, but you know how it is. Now people always, actually now, hell, they second, third grade, they probably hitting each other on social media, sending nudes and all that. And yes, we did. We talked about that before. Yes, in elementary school, they do send nudes. They got phones and they're in the bathtub. They send it to third and fourth graders. Yes, they do. So if you
That's
think your
real.
child isn't, you better check the phone because yes, they do.
And just FYI for those who don't know, they can be charged with not sex trafficking, but distributing pornography, and that, my friends, is a sex crime, and unfortunately, they will have to register as a sex offender. I remember hearing about this when I was doing the volunteer mentoring at LASO Prep, and I was just like, "Are you serious? Just for?" And they said, "Yeah." So, people, if you have a child that age, doesn't matter what the gender is, make sure that they understand the repercussions behind doing something like that. And like David said, the peer pressure is real. It is very real. And you don't want your child, just because of some youthful indiscretion or they're trying to impress somebody, to be caught up in that. Because, our rites of passages are not what these kids' rites of passages are. And for these kids that age, that might be a rite of passage, is getting a girl to send you an unclad picture. So you do not want your daughter caught up in that, and you certainly don't want your son caught up in that. So please take heed to what we're telling you. Like I said, we're not subject matter experts, but there's some things that we know beyond the shadow of a doubt. And this is one of those things. So make sure, you are keeping tabs on your child, especially at this age, and make sure that they thoroughly understand that if somebody sends them something like that, get rid of it and to disassociate themselves with that person. It'll be better for them in the long run.
This is good. This is therapeutic. Man, y'all want me to go on? Yeah, I want some more story times. Uh, when I think about high school, the high school days, again, remember I was a late bloomer. I played sports. I stopped playing football because I was like, damn, I'm only like Herb said, 145, 150, 155. Um, I ain't about to freaking get out there with them freaking dudes that weigh 210, 220, 230. Shit, they about to hit me. So I always enjoyed basketball, but I had never played for a team or anything. I just used to play at like parks. Me and my cousin, I'm calling him out again. He gonna act like he don't remember this. Probably not watching this. Ronnie O's. We used to play at Gill Creek. Up to 100 by twos. Score used to be me 100, his ass 60. Cooked. And I hope you see this because I'm gonna clip this part. Cooked, but baked and all that stuff. But I never played on um, a team or anything until one of the rites of passage. Mike Starks and them moved from Griffin Manor, moved on North Avenue, and connected with him. And, they used to make little comments like, yo, dude, you got a little sweet little set shot, this and that. But you don't ever, what you gonna do? Just sit around here and play in the backyard and all that? And I'm like, just never played basketball, played football. Really didn't even know how rec basketball was about anything. I just knew cataract football. So then I finally started. I played for a team. I think I was in the ninth grade, and my cousin Ron was on the team. A couple of other fellas, whatever, and I ended up getting the MVP of the team. And I'm like, when they called it out, like that I got MVP, I'm looking like, how did I get MVP? I wasn't the leading scorer. I mean, I would be probably like the third leading scorer. But then, shout out to Knuckles, and then he said, because I asked him after the ceremony when I got MVP, I was like, Knuck, how did I get MVP? Because in my head, you had to be you would be the leading scorer of the team and all that stuff. He was like, David, it's more than that to be the MVP. You came to practice. Every practice, you was on time. You had a positive attitude, and that showed on the court. So you were the most valuable player. And because I was gonna give the trophy, remember? I know her remember this. See, this is a good movie. That shit, her be talking about that Titanic shit. Saturday Saturday Night Fever with John Travolta and them when they went to that dance contest. And Tony was mad and he gave that trophy to the that couple that greased up the floor. Uh, well, I was gonna pass my trophy over to Ron. Uh, but then when Knuckles said, "Nah, you earned this, whatever. This your trophy," and then I realized, like, man, it's more characteristics of being an MVP than just being the leading scorer. You could, you have to have other leadership skills. So, that was important. But then there was some bad times, and I know y'all don't want me to. Well, we grown now, but when I was in 11th grade, I quit the LaSalle team, and it came back to hurt me my senior year because people were saying, "Oh, if you quit Coach Monty team in 11th grade, in the 12th grade, then he's not gonna give you that much playing time." But it became a sense of morals and ethics that I just didn't want everything that my mother, my grandmother, and them worked hard to instill in me. It just didn't sit in well with me. And I was just talking to one of my boys, one of the best defenders in Niagara Falls history. We had a Fat Jack Tim Win, Jack, one of them, Ernie Haslip,
Yeah.
lockdown, the one man press. Me and him talked on the phone for 4 hours on Saturday. And we was talking about this story. He was like, "Man, shit, I should have been like you, whatever, and quit and went and made some money." Because the one thing we we played, then we would have like sometimes late practices, and it would end at like 8:30, and we would be out in LaSalle. We ain't had no ride. We ain't had no ride. And I don't know if Coach listening to us, he was his, and he would be like, all right, guys, see y'all tomorrow." Like, yo, dude, we out here. We ain't got no ride. And many of the parents, whether for me, it could have been my aunt. My mother wasn't driving at the time. My grandfather, they could have all been working afternoons. They worked at plants and stuff. And we ain't no damn money. So we just out there. So unfortunately, older guys, 30, 40 years old, the ones that were 30 and 40 that used to play in that league, we ran y'all pockets while y'all were out there hooping. We ran y'all pockets.
Had
Tell
to
it
get
all.
home.
Yeah. So they were out there and they had played, adult 30, 40-year-old league. They would be hooping. And we like, shit, okay. They go in there. And these were the practices at LaSalle Junior. So they go in there and we go through their pockets like, oh, this motherfucker came loaded in his wallet. And then we go sort of like, see, I'm coming with movies like with her, but sort of like set it off whatever when Queen Latifah got in the vehicle and they had some trash CDs and she would throw them out. So you'll go in somebody's pocket and be like, man, this grown ass man ain't got nothing but change. He got change. Nothing in his wallet. I know if my mother listening to, I'm sorry. You taught me better, but we had to do what we had to do. And
Trying to get home.
yeah. So we would go through their pockets and all that stuff. And we would come up with some money, $30, $40. We'd go across the street to Wilson Farms, 7, whatever it was, get those little 50-cent juices, cookies, and all that stuff to kind of hold us over. Then we would catch a cab and get home. And we had to do that a lot. Then at one point, I was like, I can't do this no more. This shit don't feel right. And I ended up stepping down like, yo, I'm quitting because I had a job at the boys club and I would try to fit that in and get hours in when I could. But when I decided to quit, I ended up just and it hurt me because my boys, they was all playing and they would have their games, and then I would be waiting around to connect with them, and I was like, damn, I actually quit something. And after quitting, I remember me and my man, we was just talking to Ernie. He was like, man, and he remembered, he was like, what did you get paid every 2 weeks? I was like, $62. $62, 1987, $62 every 2 weeks. And he was like, man, that shit went a long way though, man, with getting pizza, wings, and all that stuff. And he was like, I wish I would have did that. But if he would have did that, who knows where he would have been in our senior year, because he was our defensive specialist that locked everybody down. And when I came back the senior year after we got Igor on the team, I just said to myself, I don't really care about. I'm going to college anyway. And I think the coach made it clear as day when we won the championship. He said something um, in regards to, well, I don't know why, which didn't sound right, which kind of wicked. He was he said something of, I don't know why y'all are happy and all that. He said right now currently there's only like two players on this team that's scheduled to go to a 4-year college, and that was me and this other guy. I think, shout out to Jerry Mazanka. I think he was supposed to go to UB. Then I was slated to go to Niagara University, but it wasn't for basketball. It was just got into the program to go there. So it's just a lot of little interesting stuff that happened and went down. But the guys, if y'all still living, yeah, I admit as a 50-year-old man, it was us that ran y'all pockets because we had to get home. All right, I've been talking for a while.
No, you good, man. Because I don't. I mean, I was a little older because I had dropped out of high school. So like you, I was actually working, but I had to work because nobody was giving me anything. So I remember, especially my junior year. My junior year for me it was it was it was special to me because I played football and I ran track. That probably was better than my senior year, even though I graduated, because you know I helped to anchor our track team, and we are the only, and I can say this, beat my chest, pound my chest with authority. We are the only boys varsity team to go unbeaten in Lacell Senior High history. We was mopping the fucking track with cats. Could nobody see us? Could nobody touch us? Them. And the first meet out to shoot, none other than Niagara Falls High School. And we already know Lacell and Niagara Falls High School don't like each other. Period. Hatfield and McCoy. We whipped their ass with like 30 something points. We was off and running, never looked back. And it was literally like the first time in my life that people would come up to me. People that I didn't know was like, yo, we heard your name on the PA. And if you heard your name on the PA during announcements at high school for athletics, you was a shit. Double winner, triple winner. It's like, yeah, I'm that dude. Me, James George, shout out to you, James, Champ Bailey, Rich Bailey. Yo, we was putting in work. I mean, work. And the culmination of all of that, was practice. Because I remember, you know, I had a coach, and I can't remember his name to save my life, Coach White. It was literally the first time I've ever ran track. And when I would run them hurdles and do my trail leg drills, the inside of my left knee used to get so sore because I used to get so goddamn close to those hurdles, man. But it paid off. Paid off, shin splints and everything. So when it came to meets, we were ready. We was crushing cats, and it was such an exhilarating feeling, especially having went through what I did as a younger man. You know, having dropped out of high school, then coming back and rebounded, and then just seeing everything just come together like cards being shuffled by a dealer, and it makes a perfect deck. It was just like, yo, this is what high school should be about: fun, success, no pressure. Even though, you know, the pressure to perform, and I don't care what anybody says, you start getting to certain levels in production, especially when you want for yourself and do you want for the people that are around you. And I'm sure that you speak to anybody on Lacell when they got past the Far West Regionals on their way to Glens, there was some pressure. And it didn't come from the coach. It came from the people you were sitting next to on the bus. It came from your teammates, and it sure as hell came from the students. Because once we got a taste of what that was like, we wouldn't accepting nothing less. And I remember, those days. Track didn't draw a lot of people, but basketball did. And we were sitting in them stands cheering, and it was crazy, just to see that gym lit like that, man. And it was the expectations was like, look, we not accepting no L's from nobody. The NFL was still for the Niagara Frontier League, was Lacell Explorer League. The hell with anybody else. I remember them days, and that was the attitude we took onto the track. Be it we didn't have the panache that the basketball team did, but we was like, yo, we ain't losing. No, hell no. We coming out here, we crushing heads, we taking numbers, we ain't asking no names. We'll get back to you. And those were my fond memories of my writers' passes individually into what it meant to balance work. Because I was at the age where I could work full time because I was 19. So even though I was in high school, the working papers didn't apply to me. So I was doing well academically. I was working, and I was in the athletics, and I was just like, I'm a full-fledged adult in high school. So it was all those things for me. They set me up to be able to handle multiple things and still flourish. So, like I said earlier, everybody has their own path to success. What looks like success for me is not going to necessarily look like success for the next person or the individual or the next individual. This is why, it's important, that when we talk about these things, we talk about them from different perspectives. Because where I might lack in something, somebody else has it. And I can say, hey, look, I can't help you. But you know what? Here's the number. You make sure you call this individual and you speak to him and you tell them that I sent you and you tell them what your problem is. They're gonna point you in the right direction. And that's a lot of what we lack in in just American culture. I mean, we could talk about black culture, but this stuff is starting to permeate out. We see a lot of kids, there's a disconnect between them and prior generations. So they are lost. They when they when they're facing peer pressure to drink, who do they turn to? They facing peer pressure to have sex. Who do they turn to? Because I know in my generation, a lot of younger kids, they was drinking Mad Dog 2020, Boone's Farms. you know, I I didn't have my first drink of alcohol until I was 24, so I never tried the Boone's Farm or the Mad Dog. They used to call that stuff liquid crack, and I was like, oh, y'all can have that, man. I am not doing it. And good enough for me, but everybody didn't have the wherewithal to say no like I did. So, all these things come into play, man. I know, really. I never tried any of that stuff. To this day, I have no idea what Boone's Farms tastes like. No idea what Mad Dog 2020 tastes like. No clue. And to this day, I don't drink beer. Can't stand the stuff. Man.
Next time I come up, we gonna drink some Bad Dog. Well, I'm gonna throw it over my shoulder because I ain't drinking that shit. But
and speaking of which, I remember Zima had came out, and yo,
it was trash, Zima.
but the thing about it was this: you had people that was walking in school with it in a Sprite bottle, drinking right in front of staff, and the staff was oblivious. It's just like, yo, you drinking? Nah, the soda. Oh, okay. They never knew. Never knew. So, I mean, it's a lot of stuff, man, that you know, that these kids can fall victim to, man, or prey. And if they don't have anybody there to tell them. And it's not that you're telling them what to do or what not to do. You're just saying, hey, look, if you start down this hill, what's at the bottom of that hill, you're not ready for. And it's like, well, my mom used to say, don't start none, won't be none. And I take that statement to heart. That's why there's just a lot of things that I've never gotten into. I remember working late night at a chain restaurant. I won't mention the name. Brother came in there that I went to Buff State with, and this is like after I got academically dismissed. He's with a young chick, and she was so popped that she ended up throwing up all over the table. He's like, "Oh man, everybody goes through that," and I was like, "Sorry, bro, I don't know what you're talking about." He looked at me kind of befuddled and said, "What?" I said, "Look, I've never been drunk like that to the point where I threw up in public." And then you have the old standby. At least then, the thought process that every black man smokes weed. And when I told people I didn't smoke weed, I've never smoked marijuana, I get a look like, "Are you black?" It's like the old Biden. If you don't vote for me, you ain't black. If you don't smoke weed, you ain't black. Nah, I don't. But these kids nowadays, most of these kids, and I think more so than not, it's because it's legal. They smoke marijuana just as much as some adults. And what that does to a functioning mind, a developing mind, it is not nice. So a lot of stuff, we talk about. Um, that's because we want the parents to, hey, sit down and have these talks with your kids. Maybe your nephews, maybe your nieces. Hey, ask them what you know about this, what you know about that. They might tell you something that they're not telling their parents, or whatever the case is. Be an advocate for them. You might have to be a buffer between them and their parents. Do that. There's nothing bad that can come of
See, there's so many things, and for me, storytelling is probably one of the best ways to convey different, to bring out different subject matters for people to understand and to get a personal connection. So a long time ago, I already knew that the only alternative I had was to go to college so that I could possibly have an office job or something easy, because doing manual labor and all that wasn't my thing. I knew this a long time ago, and I had summer jobs, and I had this guy. Shout out to Clarence Ward. Must have told my mother, like, man, I tell you what, your son, he better have an office job. That's a sorry motherfucker. When they used to say sorry, because we'd be cleaning up Highland Avenue. Yeah, I was like, this out in the summertime, them summer jobs wasn't built for that. Didn't like it. So once he proposed the deal to me, it was a deal breaker. He said, because he liked it, that not the MD Mad Dog, he liked it, the Wally Wally, the Wild Irish Rose.
Oh
It
boy.
used to cost $1.10 back then. And he told us, he said, well, if any of y'all can give me Now, you talking about a grown ass man asking 14, 15, 16 year olds for money. It's like, if any of y'all could give me $1.10, y'all can, when we go to lunch, y'all can go home and then y'all just come back down to the office and sign out at 4:30. Huh? Okay, I'm like, so my antennas went up. Run that by me again. You give me $1.10 that you can leave, and you can go home and then just meet us down at the office when we all sign out. Sign me up for that shit. This probably is like week 2. Sign me up for that shit every week. So I would give him my 550 in advance, and I would go home, chill. We had lunch at 12 something, and then at 4:30, I would go down to walk down to the office, meet them. We all be walking. I'll be coming from one way, then sign out, and it was good. But the one thing went sour because my nosy mother went to, I don't know, she was on vacation or something, and tried to interrupt that flow. Like, what you doing? Shouldn't you be at work? Mind your business. Mind your business. Then I told her the deal. Well, that don't make no sense. I can't believe he did that with her. You gonna mess around, lose your job. Who gonna buy your clothes, whatever? Again, mind your business, cause you know your mother, my grandmother, was gonna buy him regardless. But hey, she had to buy into the system because I was like, I'm not about to keep doing this shit. I ain't about to be chopping these weeds and doing all this stuff. So I would give them 550, and that's what I did. So I only worked half of half a day. And then that's when I really kind of got into the soap operas and stuff because I'd be home watching all my children, One Life to
Days of our
Live.
lives, Kevin
Yeah.
Restless.
Oh, the good old days.
Yeah,
The good old
that's how
days.
we know about the soap operas because I was a Young and the Restless fan for years. That and a half an hour Bold and the Beautiful. Those were the two. And it's funny. I remember my freshman year at Buff State. I set my classes around soap operas. Yes, I did. That and Jerry Springer. Had to catch me some Jerry Springer. So 11 o'clock, I'm there. 1:30, I'm there. Yeah, yeah, yeah. Priorities. They are what they were.
Yeah. Then I'm gonna tell y'all about this little license scam thing that I guess I shouldn't talk about it, but now when you like 57, you don't care. You just like to put just having conversation. Well, back in the days when you got your permit, it was like a carbon copy of paper. So and you just signed it. It wasn't like a picture or anything. So if you were someone who wasn't ready to like parallel park and all that, because that would be like the hardest thing to parallel park. And a lot of people failed the test because of that. And even old people right now, to this day, some people can't parallel park. Uh, well, the hustle was you have somebody else take your test. You go there, you sit on the sideline, you drive the car there, and the other person who's a licensed driver who got more experience that was around your age, they would take your test, sign off, boom, there you go. You got your license. If you had struggles with the parallel parking. So some people, no one can prove it, but some people say, David, I heard that's how you got your license. But no one can prove it. So I've been having my license for over 30 years. So nobody can prove it. So we just gonna roll that, my shit is legit.
You know, and now that you mention that, I think I actually have the original paperwork for my original permit. I know I have the permit. I'm just trying to think of where it is at this particular moment because I know it has a couple other things in there. I have to go. I have to go look at the archive. Excuse me. Let's see if I can actually dig that up. So, but yeah, man. I mean, all these things, they they're symbolic of a bygone era in that they may not be what they are now. In other words, kids probably aren't drinking; they're smoking. You want to send them a link? Kids aren't drinking; they're smoking. Um, you know, they're being pushed to do more dangerous, more illegal things because of the lack of adult supervision that they have, especially the young men. The young men now, like I said, regardless of their ethnicity, they're facing an even steeper climb. So it is it's not for the faint heart out here. It really is difficult for a lot of people, or a lot of men, young men, who have to run the gauntlet to get into adulthood. So hey, the more help, they get, the better off they'll be.
But the truth of the matter is, they have to understand that you got to stay connected with people. You got to have good rapport with people, and I can tell you, I probably wouldn't be where I'm at if I didn't have connections or people that vouch for me on a regular basis. And that was my story in college, whatever. I Well, some of it I had a bad deal with one of my schedules, whatever. I had a bunch of classes that it was just an overflow of like accounting 101, economics, and then like calculus all at one time. So I didn't do that well, and I think I ended up on, well, I know I ended up on like academic probation and had to explain at the time because I went to now University, which is a Jesuit college, and have a talk with one of the priest guys, and they asking about your activities and what you do and all of that stuff. Maybe you should cut back on work or and all this stuff, but I knew deep down inside, like, yeah, I could do it. I mean, I knew I wasn't going to pass through with flying colors, but I knew that I could do it. But again, I was able to build up rapport with people that put me in positions to win. And I could say, hey, shout out to Tony Miller. And I made videos on him, ripping me a new one during my probation period time where we had to have evaluations, and I came in like I was cooler than I don't know what, and he let me have it till I went back to my room and actually shed tears because he was like, "Yo, what do your world look like without this? Like, what you gonna do? How many people you gonna disappoint?" Then I had other people that stepped it up, and these were Caucasian women, like David. Anything you need, I'm here to help you. And I'm like, I need a summer job, and I, if it was Friday and came back to school on Monday, I would have I would have a job set up. So that's the importance. These are the little things I always tell kids, students now, like, conduct yourself the right way. People are watching, and people watch
Mm-hmm.
the way you move, and they kind of, you could just sit back and say, that's a good kid. I like the way they're charismatic, they're pleasant, they speak, they're polite, and people will go to bat for you. They'll go to bat for you. I was just telling my little eighth grade students about this one boy. I was like, because they had this sleepover, and I ain't going to get all into the details of boys and girls sleepovers at the age of 12 or 13, which like is crazy to me. But I was telling him about this boy. I was like, yo, he the dude. And he was like, how you figure that? I was like, he's the dude. I was like, me sitting back watching, he's charismatic. He's always got a smile on his face and never disrespectful. And I was like, though that's the type of boy y'all probably should be trying to talk to. Well, I guess at this sleepover, he was the freaking man. Had one girl on his chest and his hand around another. And man, he's his eighth grader, so I don't know what the hell was going on at that sleepover, but it gets wild. I guess this is what they do with this generation. Have um, uh, unisex like sex sleepovers that probably was unheard of back in our days, where you have
Yeah.
boys and girls over sleeping over at a house,
Mm.
and this is what they
Think
doing.
about that.
Yeah, because it took me. I think I was in my senior year, about to graduate, when they finally decided to have co-ed dorms.
Oh, I didn't you.
Yeah, and I know at Buff State they probably been had that going on.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's a different one. I used to love Buff State, boy. Buff State was good to me too.
Yeah. No. As the song goes, by All in the Family, those were the days. Yeah.
But it's so much. Yeah, we sent it to you, Officer Charles. So much to this, and it can go on and on. And I know that y'all probably got the message, or whatever. Like, some of these things, rites of passage, kind of shape you and mold you. We all made mistakes. We all did things, but uh, the thing about it is, you can rebound from that, but you have to be connected with the right people to put yourself in positions to succeed. And I think that's we're divided in so many areas, and we always talk about the community being divided in the community, which you don't know who has what position they hold or whatever, that could live two doors down from you as a kid. And you don't know that. But this younger generation, they like to disrespect older people, and they like to come with that mindset. And it ain't even just kids, it's grown people that could be like 20 some, 30, and they're like, oh, y'all old as hell. Y'all know what you're talking about. Really? I never had that attitude towards somebody 50 something, because you know what you look at? You, for the first thing, you might look at their appearance,
Mm-hmm.
the way they dress, and like, okay, damn, they always keep a car, or damn, they get up every day to go to a job. Those are things that we would pick up. Those are context clues to pick up and say, okay, you're not going to disrespect that person. Now it's different when you got somebody trying to talk and they walking around with a brown paper bag, and that used to be our thing. That know somebody was a wine head or whatever with the brown paper bag.
Yeah.
But people that work
Fine.
and had cars and stuff like that, you kind of listen. These folks, they don't care about that shit. What up, brother?
Woo! Cigar. What you drinking?
1, 2, 3. Woo!
Woo!
Uh, you know me. I'm smoking my cigar. I'm drinking my liquor, and I'm hanging with my niggas. I'm all the ladies. You know what? I'm every criminal's fright, and I'm every lady's delight.
Mm.
The shit talker, the dirty walker.
Mhm.
Mm, the greatest and the latest.
What's
The
good,
Hey,
man?
Baltimore
man.
Butcher, the man that could be no greater, that
Mm,
Negro Charles Faulkner Jr.
mm.
How y'all fellas doing tonight?
Not bad,
Good,
man.
From,
Not
man.
Bu-
bad.
from
Just
Buffalo to Baltimore. How about them Ravens? Good God, I had to write an aggravated assault report against that game against the Lions. Boy, they ran up on them with masks. They give me all your goddamn money. Jesus Christ, I love it. Whoa, I love it.
no comment on this part because I'm a Steelers fan.
Yeah, I was gonna say y'all pitched enemies.
There's only one word. There's only two words I got for the Steelers. Fuck them. But anyway,
Mm,
I got the funny thing is I got Steelers jerseys and Ravens jerseys in my locker, so I'm gonna sit back and let y'all have this one.
that's called conflicted.
mm.
Yeah, well I'm a
Oh
Dallas
yeah.
fan, so
By the way, for all the
I'm
ladies
for
in the
that.
chat, how you doing? And the shirt of the night, you know who that is on my shirt.
Yeah, yes sir.
The
Who's
Deadly
that?
Panthro.
Mm. Well, lately, in the last couple of years, I just sit back and watch how it unfolds. I don't even get my emotions tied up in the sports like that.
It's kind of funny because if you're a Ravens fan, you're nothing but a fucking emotional. Ah! There's some games like, man, you having a mild heart attack. You're like, oh my god! And then
Mm,
you're like, you win it, and you like, the medics are probably trying to give you the defibrillator.
mm.
Claire, wait, what? Yeah, oh god, thank you.
Probably how it
Oh
is in
man,
Buffalo, huh? Herb?
oh man,
Yeah,
I know
man,
Buffalo for the Buffalo
they
fans. They be like,
tripping up
God
there, man.
damn it. I tell you, it's funny about the subject matter when you're talking about rites of passage, and I had to come up for this one because every Monday I look for you before I start my own show. I might do one afterwards,
Uh
Okay.
huh.
and everybody knows how I feel about rites of passage. And hello, ladies, because I know, yes, I look this good in real life. Trust me. Um, yeah, I'm even better looking in person. Trust me. And the amazing thing about it is, and I told this to a lot of friends and partners of mine. I said, look, ladies, I don't give a damn who you date. I really don't. What I care about is who you birth. If those boys are not, because I'm gonna tell you this one. I told my friends, and speaking of which, one of my friends is getting married Friday. The the greatest gift you could give to a boy is the best father you can get.
Hmm.
What rite of passages are you setting for your male children? And this
Mm,
is the reason why I harp on that is because you can't complain about the men if you never said, look, little boy, you got a gift from under my dress. We need to send you to the men to learn how to become one. I can teach you. After the age of 8 to 10, I can't take you any further. And it takes a lot of humility and it takes a lot of respect for your sons to say, I can't teach you anything. That would be no different if I had a daughter. I don't know what a menstrual cycle feels like. I don't know how the world looks at you as a female.
Hmm.
It has to be a lot of humility. And people don't even understand what the word humiliation means is to be humbled. And to be humble is not necessarily an insult. And to actually understand and say that I love something so great that I have to cultivate it. For example, I showed my son how to box a little bit, and he was great with it. I got to show you the video. And he was 15, 16, going against a 20-year-old and outboxed him. But to take you to another level, I got to send you to a guy who can coach you longer than I can.
Hmm.
I had my godson who came to me and he said, I've won two state championships in junior league. And you know what I told him? So
hmm,
I can prepare you for college wrestling. Do you know how many college wrestlers come to me during the winter break preparing for the national run? And that's the same thing about a rite of passage. You have to be very honest and respectful that, look, what are the skills you want your son to obtain for him to be a father, a husband, and a man?
Hmm.
Simply put, yes, I do have a thing where, yes, a good majority of our young men should join the military. There are too many skills that we're leaving on the table, not only in tactical and combat skills, but technical. Why let white boys benefit off of our asses? Why leave money on the table for college? You want to join a big fraternity? Join that military.
Yeah, without a doubt.
Last time I checked, I'm sitting on so many benefits. I'm waiting for my 100% disability that's going to come. Well, I don't want to get hurt. I'm going to tell you, ladies who don't understand men, tell you a little secret. The life of a man is mostly pain.
Some sort of one form or another, be it physical or mental.
Physical, mental, emotional, and spiritual.
Mhm.
If I trained your sons in wrestling, the first thing I would tell them, don't pray to God for a lighter load, pray to God for a stronger back to deal with a difficult one. Am I talking too much, fellas?
Well, no, we just listening.
And, and this is, and I don't like to call myself a subject matter expert in this field or rite of passage, but I guess, I, some people consider me that. You want your sons to be a great leader? He's going to have to be a great follower first.
Yeah.
Sorry. But go
Hey,
ahead, fellas.
yeah, that's for sure. That they have to find people that they're gonna follow and listen to, and that's the greater thing for them to have that ability to do that. And kids that do it, you could tell that they've been grounded from somewhere that they it's just a different respect level and how they carry themselves. And and you look at them. For me, when they're at the middle school level, you say to yourself, they're gonna be all right.
Hmm.
They're gonna be all right. You wish that you could kind of track them throughout, but some kids when they leave, you like they're gonna be in a good place,
Yeah.
and then some you worry about them, and like man, it may not end well. And I could give example without saying any names. And I was like this one kid, we was having like a articulation meeting with me in the high school, and I said for this one kid, I said it can go either way. I said if y'all can gravitate and pull him into sports, he gonna be good. I said we call him Little Floyd Mayweather, because we seen little fights that he got on video in school, and so we named him that, and he kind of took he even liked the name. It was me and this other one of my boys that worked there. We kind of would joke around and call him that, but prior to that, like I said, during the articulations, I said it could go either way. If y'all can rope him in, get him into sports, he's athletic, he'll do well. But if he doesn't get connected, it's gonna be a different outcome. Needless to say, probably that summer, 2 weeks after I had that meeting with the high school, he ended up getting shot and was paralyzed. And I kind of it's my fault. I was following him throughout that summer, talking to his mother, and actually I sent him some Floyd Mayweather merchandise, TBE merchandise. Um, but then I didn't follow back up because I was like, I just can't keep. Like it was hurtful to know that like, man, his life didn't change forever, and that's because he was kind of maybe following his big brother's footsteps instead of other people, and his life probably, well, I don't know, but it changed forever behind that, and that's the importance of for young people to connect with leaders and follow them. And it's not always popularity. Sometimes it's just consistency
Yeah.
over popularity that stands out.
Yeah.
You're absolutely right about that because I know that you have your heavily degree, knowledge in social work and also counseling and psychology. But the one thing we study is that boys will naturally form hunting parties. If they don't have a masculine presence in front of them consistently, they're going to seek out what they think is masculinity or society, whether crooked by crook, honest or dishonest, and they'll go try to emulate that. And that's where you get this hyper masculine issue where I know a lot of people are going to think I'm out of pocket for saying this. I remember watching the video. I don't condone the kid wearing the young man having a gun when he was about to fight another young man. But I gotta congratulate him of giving the gun to another guy and actually fighting him on the square on equal ground.
Mm.
Well, a lot of kids would not do that because, let's just say it, they're losing. They're afraid of taking an ass whooping. And sometimes you're a better person because you take an L. You learn from your L's. I like to quote Dr. Doom from Marvel Comics. I don't know losses, I only know setbacks. And as a man, you don't usually learn unless you take an L, a setback. And
True.
a lot of people take this, well, we need a rites of passage when it comes to the boys, very, very lightly. And we've seen, and I told this, I said, look, a tree is not measured by its bark. A tree is measured by the fruit it bears. If the only thing you can bear is rotten fruit, then that says a lot about that tree, doesn't it?
Mm. Facts.
I know usually I come to your channel when a lot of the ladies don't like what I'm saying, but trust me, all I gotta ask the ladies, all you beautiful ladies out there, just tell Sergeant Faulkner one thing. You may not agree with what I say, but is he lying? Is he being deceitful? Am I leading you to another way? I guess the counselor will be right back with these following messages. And
Yeah.
the courage. The courage, how you been, Herb? Been a long time.
Man, I got no complaints, man. Just doing some repairs around the house on the garage, getting ready for the
Yeah.
winter.
I'm getting ready to go up there to Buffalo and steal your collection. God damn it, that's number two. The record, man.
You know what? As soon as I get my attic situated, man, I'm gonna put a studio up there. I'm gonna have my keyboard and my guitar, and so I'll be doing content from up there, man. All original
Man,
content.
I need to open up a Patreon just so I can play that George Duke and that Frankie Maze featuring Frankie Beverly.
Yeah, man. There's so many different ways that people can monetize a lot of things, and that's what I'm looking at, man. I'm looking at hopefully in the next 3 to 4 years I can put out my own or at least have somebody assist me with putting out an app that's musically based. So
Hey, make your money above ground, my dude.
say it again.
Make your money above ground, my dude.
Oh yeah.
And it's funny because Believe it or not, and I'll be very candid, especially with you and the audience. I didn't know this last year, but the VA diagnosed me with PTSD and depression.
Oh wow.
And I was like, well, damn, how the hell can I be depressed? I'm the man. Till you realize how many times have you been in, and somebody pointed this out. How many times have you been in a deep, dark place? Plenty. That's depression, dude. You may have the ability to pull yourself up from it, but it does not excuse you from it.
Yeah.
They said as much stuff as you've seen as a soldier and as a police officer, now a police sergeant. There are certain things you can't escape. But it's like a meme that I made, and I gotta post it on my Facebook so y'all can see it. With Bruce Wayne outside the Batman cape and cowl, and you can see his back scarred up with bullet holes, knife wounds, all kinds of scars, surgical, lacerations and stuff like that, incisions. And what I put on top of there, my body tells a story. It tells you how much I survived, how much I healed, and how much I triumphed. And when you think about the average black male growing up in inner cities, how much depression and PTSD do you think they have?
Quite a bit.
And nobody's there to help them with it.
Yeah.
And that's the part where we don't we don't facilitate the fact that these young men are growing up in places in a first world. Hey, the cat is back behind you.
Yeah.
But
Well dressed
always,
cat. He got on his spats and ats. Come on, boy.
hey, the cat on the YouTube app. But
Come here, man.
it's funny, and I'm glad Dave back on because he's a counselor for young people. What's the percentage of PTSD do you think young boys are going through in these schools, high school age kids?
I don't even have a percentage number because they don't. A lot of times you don't even know what half of these kids are going through. Usually it takes a situation to even find out that they were going through something like being suspended or having like a student support team meeting or they have an IEP. But for the most part, a lot of times you may not even know what a lot of kids go through unless they're connected to a certain staff member. So a lot of times kids are disconnected, and that was one of the main things they always try to push for kids to find one person that you're connected with in the school. But you can't force those relationships. It has to be genuine and authentic. So even though you can set up programs, this amount of kids, you have these tier two kids that are at risk, and you have, but that stuff don't work unless they want to form a relationship with you. So a lot of times we don't know that information. But it's a great percentage of them probably that are going through trauma and seen a lot and
And
been
I,
through a lot.
and I think that's the ignorance of the black community when it comes to mental health. Even to this day, they're like, well, he'll be alright. He ain't crazy. He know better. How do you know? How do you really know?
Well,
Everybody's one step away from one bad day, right?
it's true. That's true. And also, I think with that, with black people with mental health, a lot of it is based on comfort. Like they want to see somebody that looks like them to be able to speak to, and that may not always be the case because most, educated black people, they probably saying, "Hey, man, I'm not about to deal with all that. I'm trying to find a career passion that I can get some money." And that might be based on their upbringing. So a lot of people in this day and age kind of steer away from those type of positions because they like, shit, it's just too much to handle, and you don't get paid.
That's very true because we look at the total. We let me back up for a second. We tend not to look at the totality of a situation, and it burns us each and every time. And when you look at these young people out there, they're taking on things that their brain is not even developed yet to take in consideration. We're putting on adult situations on people that are 18. I don't even know how in the hell could I handle at 18, 19 years old. I had 2 years in the Army at 17 when I joined, and I had to deal with 9/11. I want you to think about that. I'm dealing with 9/11 and all the deployments from Afghanistan to Iraq, and eventually I went to Iraq for 18 months. How can you put all this stuff on a guy or girl that's not even my age when I joined the army?
And I think that's why when they, you know, kids kind of get put in their head, oh, when I'm 18, I'm grown and all that stuff. But for, and you see little memes, TikTok videos, and different things where they talk about once a kid get 18, you put them out. And I had did a clip on this like, where the hell they gonna go at 18? The hell they can pay for? You can't do shit. So the best thing to do is let them get a job, as long as they're not disrespecting you or being violent or stealing from you, whatever. You got to keep them within the confines of your home if you got a place for them to stay so that they can blossom. Uh,
Yeah.
they can get out and they don't have to worry about anything. And that's the problem. Like sometimes in our culture, too many people want to so quick to push them out and can't wait. Like it's a pot of gold once they turn 18, and there's so many opportunities out there.
Uh,
This shit may not happen today. They may very well be there at 22, 23, 24. But
Yeah.
again, if they working and they being solid and they you give them something, or you got to do this, you got to do that, and they doing it, just got to roll with it. I don't know what the hell. A lot of people want to think they about to open up strip clubs and shit once their kids leave. Well, I don't know. I don't know what you're looking for.
it's a bit of selfishness if you think about it. It's my son's 16. Do I think he's ready for the world at 18? Hell no. Hell no. And it's not because I don't think he's prepared, but it's like, what experience do you have of the adult world? That's like asking a baby to pilot a plane on a Boeing 747. The intricacies and the technical experience that you need. I mean, what do you expect? You're going to get nothing but failure from that. So, to be quite honest, I think that we have delusions of grandeur on a global scale within just a community in America. When we expect these young people to be able to conduct themselves as they are 40-year-old people. Think of the amount of failure that we have, man. When we throw our kids out to the wolves.
And I think that's why sometimes those ones you throw out, they keep coming back and keep coming back. 20s and their 30s and their 40s, they keep coming back. But the ones that get trained properly and they learn something once they leave, they don't. They may not come back.
They
They
may
come back
not.
to visit or whatever the case is, but you you giving them less pressure situations that they are prepared and they're like, okay, it's not no pressure. I learned how to work certain jobs, got certain skills, and now I'm ready to explore. But
Hmm.
you got to give them that opportunity. But if you got that mindset, once they get 18, they got to go. Again, go where? You're gonna, if it's a boy, you're gonna end up having him probably in some household where it's a woman with two, three kids, and he like 20, and they like 32, 33 with three kids. Yeah,
They're just dominating his ass.
it's a no-win situation, but he's just there because it's shelter, and you pretty much told him you can't come back here. That seems so cruel, though, just to be
But you
like that.
know, that's all they know.
Mm,
Because in the black community, what type of men is mama getting? You want to
mm,
build your
Yeah.
son to be a leader of men, or do you want him to be a compromised man like the man you chasing?
mm,
I'll leave that for anybody who wants to debate that.
mm. That's true. Man, yeah. So sometimes you just got to be a little more patient. And I always talk about KYP. Your kids know what they can pull or what they can't do. So if you always been kind of loosey goosey and with your parenting or things you stand for, they're gonna try you. They're gonna take advantage. Like I said, they doing that shit at the middle school level or whatever. Kids spending the night with each other, girls and boys. Like really, snuck in the window and all that. But if they know, like, nah, then I'm not even gonna take that chance. Uh, because I know my dad stay up late or my mom got to get up early. She always looking in my room or whatever the case is. They're not going to get caught up in that like that. But
Hmm.
when they know they ain't here half the time or shit. Once Melvin come over, my mom don't even come out. She in the room with him. So shit, I could have somebody over here doing whatever. She ain't coming out.
But,
They pay
but you
attention
know
to
how
that
it was.
shit.
You know how you know how it was when we grew up.
Hmm.
Parents could not even be there all day. They just put the fear of God in your ass. I wish
Yeah.
you would. I don't need to. Even though, of course, when we were kids, there were no real security cameras in the home.
No, you
It
had
was,
neighbors on the porch watching shit. Other neighbors telling shit.
hmm even if they weren't out, you just had that reverent respect and fear. Like, I wish your ass would disrespect my home like this. And they just knew. It was like they had psychic ability, like they were members of the X-Men or some shit. Who was in my damn house? You know. I know because I left that cup right there and it moved 2 centimeters.
Yeah, it's true. They knew everything. Like, damn, that wasn't right here. Like, what are you talking about?
I
I
remember when I
think it was
left my
almost
house.
like a setup.
I remember when I left my house and I knew somebody was in my room. And I asked my godson and my son, who was in my room? Nobody was in your room. You damn lie. I know how I left the soda moments on my wall. They were like, what you mean it's on your wall? It wasn't that way. They were like, oh. I said, okay. I could tell you two things. I know where two things out of this room were not when I left it. They were like, well, we were just touching it to see it and we love it. I said, no, no. It's not the fact that you wanted to touch it or see it. It's the fact that you lied.
Hmm. Well, they gonna try to lie to the end. Uh, yeah, so it's like we talked about it. There's so much to this subject area. We could go on and on. And um, right now we having a shortage of the women coming on. They'll be back. They'll be back. Uh, they're in their season right now. Until we have another crop that steps up and say, "Hey, we're gonna come on."
Hey, I'm not scaring them away. Don't you laugh, Herb.
They some of them yeah, they ran off whatever, but they still be watching. And
Oh,
hey, I ain't got time. The show must go on
yeah.
until the next crop come on. You know,
Uh,
we'll keep a crop coming. We just right now in the time that they ain't nobody stepped up to the plate.
no, I wish I could get a few more female personalities on my show. Man, I can't even buy them on there. You don't like women? Yes, I do. And then the funniest part about it, they'll find out. They be like, "Oh my God, you're so cool and so charming." I said, "I try, love. I try." And, and those are detractors. And then after we have a 15, 20 minute conversation, they donate.
Mm.
So I mustn't be that bad. So I really look at that rite of passage very seriously because in our community, this is one of the biggest things I said. You're not a man because women say you're a man. You're a man because other men acknowledge your feats. And that's one of the biggest weaknesses of our community. We're so woman led. And this is the guy who keeps talking about defeat, but hey, you wonder why your son is gonna be up under a chick you know he doesn't supposed to be with. It's because he's looking for that female validation. What happens when you take your son and you put him in places where he's gonna have to run the gauntlet with men of a certain stature? Is he gonna be able to be competitive?
Right.
And that's the question right there I posed to you, Herb and Dave.
No, I don't believe it's possible. You cannot learn masculine principles, concepts, and traits from somebody who doesn't know what they are. For somebody who's only seen them and not had to develop them internally. And I think and this goes back to, can a woman raise a man? No. The same way a man cannot raise a lady. We we can identify something when we see it, but to teach it when you don't have it internally, it's impossible. It reminds me of what Sinbad said when asked about rhythm. He said, if you can explain it, you ain't got it, and if you got it, you can't explain it.
It's like watching, and everybody knows I'm a fan of like combat sports. Like I love watching classic boxing matches, even the ones in black and white. When Ray Robinson boxed, and I still to
Mm-hmm.
this day, I have never seen out of footage or even in current time a better boxer than him ever. His rhythm was so natural. It was it was like he was dancing. And even when he was on offense or defense, it was just so natural.
I guess
And
I need to get Tuna and Bohan because one of my boys always say, "Man, Sugar Ray Robinson." And I was like, I never really watched any of his. And I'm a big time boxing fan, but I never got into him because I
oh,
never
trust me,
seen him.
you will do yourself a pleasure and a favor watching his clips and his
Mm.
videos because you'll be like, wow. The one thing, if you're a true boxing fan, which I'm pretty sure you are, you'll be like, how complete can a human being be in one damn subject? And it's like this dude can when he was in a ring, he could do what he want. It was like watching a god. Like even when he's joking with you, he was so dangerous. And that's the same philosophy I have when it comes to the masculine and feminine principles. When you see a lady who's confident, she doesn't have to wear like you look at pictures of Debbie Allen or Felicia Rashad. Did they have to wear the stuff that you see Instagram models wear to be considered beautiful?
No.
They were the mistresses of less is more. They were stunning and they were graceful. And that's the part where, as a community, we lack is the grace, the presence.
It's true. And for one minute, if you got it, you got it. So you don't even have to expose it. No matter
Well,
what you wear, you got it.
I want to mess your heads up for so much, right? 40 years is not a long period of time, right? In the human race, right?
Right.
No, not at all.
In 40 years, we went from um, Felicia Rashad to Sexy Red.
I still ain't got it. I keep hearing this name thrown around, and I slightly
Some rap.
clicked on some, but I don't even never
I'm
even got
going to
into that.
tell you, just when you're bored or once this is over, once your live stream is over, just put Miss Rashad and Sexy Red and just put a side by side comparison. And you'll be like, this is
I
only
don't
in the
believe that's
realm
my
of 40
eyesight.
years.
Mm.
And that's only the realm of 40 years. You know, what's the old saying? Malcolm X and Martin Luther King didn't die for this bullshit.
Hmm.
Yeah.
And it's funny because we lost elegance. We lost masculine principle. Like, why is the thug so renowned in our community? We we take hold of people who are destructive, not people who can add to what we are, but destruction.
Yeah. A lot of people tend to go that way for whatever reason. I don't know. I mean, I don't know if they bored or whatever the case is, and that seemed to be an attraction for them. I like peace.
And I think that's the scary part is that elegance be damned, being a lady be damned. It's it's mind boggling, man. It's almost sinister
Mm.
because you're looking at people with so much potential and we throw it away for what? What
Nothing.
tells you, and I'm pretty sure I'm gonna say this. I'm pretty sure when you were looking at rites of passage, you probably weren't looking just for the boys. And I respect that. Because I said, here's the issue. What are the rites of passage for young boys in the black community and for young black girls? What's the parameter?
You know, what it's gonna take is that we come back next week with the rites of passage for girls as men speaking about it. And some of the women probably not gonna like and say, how the hell could y'all speak on that? But it's gonna pull them out because we're gonna give them our perspective, and they
You
very
have
well
to.
may have a different perspective.
You have to because one, and you guys know how I get on my show. And I say some things that don't make me popular with a lot of people. And I just asked, do women in our community dress to attract men, a high caliber man, a man of class, status, a man of some resolve. Do you look to attract gentlemen, or do you look to attract the low hanging fruit?
Hanging fruit. Seems like low hanging fruit.
Fruit hangs so low that it's damn near buried.
Mm, man.
I mean, hey, you know, ooh, damn, the 49ers lost. Ain't that a
Yeah, I saw that,
They
man.
they lost?
14 to
yeah?
22.
Oh shit. Yeah. Let's see. I
17 to
don't know who they
22
are.
to the Vikings. Jesus, Jesus, boy, that's a
Yeah,
topic every
I never
single.
even turned on that game. I had it on baseball this whole time, seeing how the hell your team lose every game at home and the Texas Rangers advance.
I'm kind of mad about the Orioles. We won like 100 and what 10 games
Yeah, I
I
was
this
knew
month.
that.
surprised at that too.
It,
I was shocked.
and I knew
Them
that
in
was
Atlanta.
fool's gold.
I was like, what the hell? You won more games than anybody in the league, and you get swept. What in the red fire trucks and is going on? Man,
And I was shocked that Arizona beat Philly, the Phillies in Philly, to force a game 7 tomorrow. I'm like, damn, I thought Philly would knock their ass out. Nope.
it's the wild world that we live in. I mean, hey, shout out to the USA wrestling team bringing home another team championship with three world champions on the team.
Yeah, I didn't even realize the Pan Am games were going on.
Pan Am. We just had the world championships about a few weeks ago, and I mean, I looked at the like, whoa, and this is before we went to the world championship matches. We won so many matches and so many medals prior to the gold medal matches for the wrestlers that we were already considered the world champions. And it's a good time to be a sports fan. I tell you that much. You're gonna see some wild shit.
Yeah.
It's
Man,
definitely a good time for sports, especially after coming off that slump like in July when it ain't nothing really going on. Uh, then you get to this point, you're like, man. Then the NFL's heating up. You're like, man, this is great. Then the NBA start tomorrow. Man, everything is great.
man,
It's great.
we got about
Luckily, we
two
ain't gonna
good.
cut them off like Herb for every sport.
Only football. Only
Hmm.
football.
It's funny. I'm from Baltimore, and we had a couple of NBA greats. Like one of my best friends, a family. Who's his family friend? Damn, that's a couple of guys who went to the NBA who are family friends with his uncles, man. And I never just could get into it. My family always been in the combat sports, martial arts, wrestling, boxing. So forgive me if I'm a little ignorant of basketball. It's just it's who I am, and
Rudy
it's
Gay, Will Barton, all of them.
what is it? Of course Muggsy. Of course
Yeah, Muggsy. Who
I'm
was
trying to
it?
think who else is a family friend of theirs. I can't think of the name. I know the guy's face, but I can't think of the name. He used to be really good at threes too. He probably could shoot the lights out. But it's one of those things where, speaking of sports, one of the rites of passage, like you mentioned earlier, were sports. The Charles Faulkner Jr. you see before you would not be sugar honey iced tea before the sport of wrestling.
Hmm.
You learned where you stand in the world if you got to go toe to toe with a guy with a 24 by 24 mat and with a circle around it, and you'll get exposed to everything you're great at and everything you're not so great very quickly within those 6 weeks, those 3 2-minute periods. People think, oh, 3 2-minute periods, that's nothing. That's called an anaerobic workout. Go ahead and wrestle a human being for 6 straight minutes to see how exhausted you will be. No subbing
Yeah,
out. You're
yeah, and
like,
that's the same thing with boxing. Whatever you think those 3 minutes, what that people ain't cut for that. Like that's a lot.
uh, I fought in cages. I fought in boxing rings. I fought on wrestling mats. People be like the emotional and physical dump of energy within those. I mean, usually during championship season time. Well, I'll say this because I'll start training again for wrestling around September-ish, October-ish. I usually do off seasons until like August, so I give myself about a 2 month break because it's such a hard hustle on your body. I mean, it's just pounding, 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 and it was like that's how I caught up to so many good people because I would constantly do it. And it's like I'm probably suffering through some injuries because of it, but I'm
Yeah,
also suffering from greatness because of it. So hey, I take my lumps.
yeah, we talked about that the other week. Like when you get older, those injuries, being a part of playing sports or working out, like takes its toll.
Oh
And
yeah,
it's a lot.
oh yeah. I'm still glad I can still do my curls and 60 and 80 pound dumbbells. Good God, 41. That's pretty good still.
Yeah, you still young in the game. Still young in the game.
I used to listen to motherfuckers for 30 years. Shit. But it's like, it's funny because my son will be like, Dad, you're getting weak. And I'll pick up the 60s and I'll be like, here you go. He'll drop it straight to the ground. He'll be
They
like,
always,
okay. He'll be like, I'll
they
come back
always
when you're
gonna have
50.
something to say.
He'll be like, I'm going to come back to you when you're 50. I said, trust me, you can challenge me at 50. I'm
Mm,
not going to be as nice about 50. I said, look, you get to 50, guys, they try to go rounds with you. They just try to end you quick.
yeah, that's the only way to do it. You got to figure out a way to okay, got to detonate it quick because I can't. The longer we go, the weaker you may get.
My wrestling coach, may rest in peace, Pound Paradise. That man broke you down like a fraction.
Mm.
I mean, what did Mr. T said? What's the one thing you want to learn? You want Balboa to know? Pain. Play with your body, your nervous system like an accordion. It's like ah. Man, I never knew men could have such high pitched voices. What's up, wrestling?
Think about
Oh
that
man.
Rocky series. That no matter what I'm doing, if flicking channels and I come across the Rocky movie, I just stop and watch it.
Oh yeah, that's true because think about this. I want you to think about it. How many TV shows and movies do you see about pure masculinity?
Mm. Probably not too many. Nah, I don't even know. I can't even. I guess I never even broke it down and thought about it like that. But not too many.
The last movie I actually went to see in the theaters to talk about masculinity was actually Black Adam, and I'm still convinced the movie Black Adam was The Rock's, love letter to his father. And what gave it away was when he said, "Do you want me to teach your son violence?" And he's like, "No." And he said, "You're right. His father should teach him violence."
Mm.
And that shit hit me like a ton of bricks. And I was like, "You're right. Your father should teach you violence. But here's the caveat: he should also teach you how to control it."
Yeah, that's probably the bigger part of it. To know when to do it and when not to.
And that takes a hell of a man to do it, man. And we got away from that. The importance of male role models and fathers.
Yeah.
Oh no, my father didn't teach me how to do this. Look,
and kids do verbalize it. They'll say, "I never learned how to fight. I never learned how to do this or that." Because also a lot of times, kids they they still these boys they still want the nurture inside from their mother, and even if they had to make a choice, many of them may say, hey, I still want to be at mom's with moms because they may not want to feel the expectations of their dad.
Because what does BGS always say? Your mom makes you feel better. Your dad makes you better.
Yeah, yeah,
And I'm a big believer that a father is a girl's first love and a boy's first superhero. Like I remember my son's mother used to be so sick of my son some days because she'd be around him and her friends and they'd be like, my daddy, my daddy, my daddy, my daddy did this, my daddy did that, my daddy showed me how to do this, my daddy, my daddy. And she would be like, come get your son. Even though he lives with me for the last several 10 years. Even when she had him, she'd be like, get all I hear from him is my daddy, my daddy, my daddy.
hmm,
And it was like, how many children are not as fortunate to say that about their father?
yeah. And sometimes your kids they won't even directly say anything to you, but you know that they pick up on stuff that you do or things that you say, but they'll never admit it. I don't know what that's about. But this generation, they may not even admit it. Like, damn, my pops say that. This is how my pops say. This is what he do. This is how he dress. This is style, or whatever the case is. Mm, tough times. But we gonna get ready to get out of it. Damn, it's 3 hours, whatever, almost. But
Whew.
gonna get
Man,
ready to get out
everybody
of
come
here.
lately, man. It's always a pleasure to you, Dave, and also to you, Herb.
Indeed.
Whew. Many blessings. Many blessings. And I'm out of here. And tell the cat I said hello.
All right,
Woo!
brother. Thanks for you stopping by and giving us your insight. Peace and love.
Peace. Woo!
Peace. Closing comments to rites
Sure.
of passage.
DJ Jazzy Jeff and the Fresh Prince made a song called Parents Just Don't Understand. Is that really the case, though? I mean, after all, they were our age once, or they were kids' age once. Yes, times have changed, but peer pressure is ubiquitous, and no matter your age or location, no one wants to be the round peg trying to force their way into a square hole, or vice versa. No two paths in life will be the same. Everyone experiences life differently. The problem lies in making sure that those different childhood experiences don't manifest themselves negatively in adulthood. A well adjusted child becomes a fully functional adult. After all, isn't that what we want? A society where there's less traumatic people who cannot cope with their daily lives. And as always, growth and understanding the curves and gray area. Godspeed. See you next time.
Thank you. Appreciate it. Yeah. And with that said, like, yeah, it's so much. It's so much to that, and you heard her give his opinion, um, Officer Charles, and no matter what, my whole thing when we came up with the subject is just to kind of talk about certain things that you go through. Now, with the younger generation, you have to be creative. You have to be dynamic with your approach. But again, I think the one thing that trumps it all is consistency. Having a consistent message. because they're this younger generation. They're not trying to deal with the wishy washy. You this way at one point, or mom is cool, or when her man over, she much nicer, but when he ain't around, she got an attitude, or or vice versa. Oh, dad on his shit, but soon as such and such around, or they in a good space, whatever, he much nicer. They tolerance level isn't how we were more. Okay, that's them. We got to fall in line. You got to dig deeper and grab and try to grab them and try to pull them in, or you can lose them forever. And I think that's what's going on right now. That a lot of people are losing the young people forever because you got to be able to find a connection with them. But I always say the one thing is be true to who you are and be consistent, and that will trump everything no matter what, because that's due process. People always say, shit, that's the way he always been.
Yeah.
He never changed up that. He never did that. So why do I think somebody who's been around 53, 54 years is going to change up because of the times? No. He just learned to be flexible with the times and do what they got to do. So we're in a whirlwind. We're in a battle. Who's out here to try to win and survive? And that's the thing. And the ones who's consistent probably will be the ones that'll be standing at the end. Ones who try to switch up and change up with the times, your ass gonna buckle at the knees sooner or later. But consistency would trump all of that, because you know where you stand, you know your ground, and you know what you can handle. But the ones that's all over the place, that's gonna be getting hit like with a quick Floyd, Terrence Crawford, counter punch, or whatever the case is, and you're gonna be all over the place, and you'll eventually fold. Unfortunately, I don't wish that on anybody, but I just think you need to be consistent and be grounded in certain areas all the time. And that's it. We out. Everybody enjoy your week. Stay warm,
Yeah.
or whatever the case is, because it's that time. It's almost November. Stay safe. Again, we always talk about that. It's getting to the holiday season, and and we know that. I don't know. I'm not just gonna say this off the record. I don't know what the hell happened during this. Damn, has it been 4 years that Biden and old girl been in around?
Yeah.
Yeah. I don't even know what happened. I can't. I don't even know. Like, at this point, I don't hate to say it. You had the Barack administration, and Trump came in and all that stuff. When Barack, it was always some going on with Barack, his administration. Always some going on with Trump. I don't even know what the fuck going on with Sleepy Joe and Kamala thing, whatever. This shit, and it just seemed like it's horrible. I don't know. It seemed like things got worse. I don't know. That could be me, but it's a lot going on. Again, people get grimy during these times in November, trying to come up, trying to catch you sleeping. Just be safe. Be safe. Again, always be mindful where your children are, because y'all think it's a joke, but like I say, every day is something. Every day is something. And not just girls, boys too. But I tend to think when it's boys, they traveling with 3 or 4 boys, and they can usually kind of fend off or get away. Girls, that always might not be the case. And there's people out there lurking for that purpose. So everybody just be safe. Even adults. Be safe. Check your cars. No, make sure you lock up your cars, because you don't know. You just don't know. It's just getting that time. That season about to kick in, and people just trying to catch somebody
That's
weak.
Yeah.
What you say?
desperation, man.
Yeah. So that's my message, everybody. Just take heed to that and be mindful and be consistent at what you do. If you're consistent in everything you do, some of those things it's like clockwork. Like shit, I already do this. I already know to do this. But as soon as you start slipping or you try something new, and you only do it for a little bit, then that's when people catch you slipping.
Mm-hmm.
So with that said, we out. Who knows? Next week it may be, we may break down the woman's rites of passage. So y'all might get challenged. Y'all may be made to feel uncomfortable. Like, wait a minute, that's not how it goes with us. But it only be based on our perspective on what we see. And if you think it's something different, then you'll come on and try to challenge it. In fact, that's what the subject's going to be about, because we're always trying to make people uncomfortable because we know that's the only way you're going to grow. And we into growing people, growing individuals. Myself, I grow each week from this. I hope everybody else will grow based on different perspectives, whatever. So that's where we at. We out. Everybody be well. Enjoy your week. Be safe. And we'll see you next time. Peace.
All right, people, y'all take care.
All right.